Hi, I'm Jameson Newlander, Alan Frog from the Lost Boys, and you're watching the Frog Brothers podcast.
Let me get
It's refreshment time, folks.
I'm just gonna go watch a movie.
Do you like scary movies?
I don't watch movies.
I have to return some videotapes.
You have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. Don't need a TV.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.
Over 1,600 titles, each for rent at just $2 the first night, and only
Finish him.
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, but you are aware that there's an invention called television, and on this invention they show shows, right?
It's a laser disc.
Okay, I want channels 18, 24, 63, 109, 87, and weather channel.
Welcome to the Frog Brothers podcast with your hosts, Justin and Alec.
Welcome, Frog Brothers podcast in Jerry's basement. Yeah. Video store and Jerry's basement, which has an arcade and a nice Christmas tree.
Man cave.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys are welcome to come over. Put it out there on the 10th. So
yeah, we're coming over to Jerry's house.
Oh yeah, we are.
I'm going to bring my Ghostbusters pajama pants and get real cozy.
You can't talk about it if everyone's not invited.
Yes, we can.
This is a public podcast.
I guess that's true.
But none of those people probably
proctologists.
None of those people probably watch. So.
In case you're wondering, gentleman, here is Nick. He took an MIA and just fucking went off the grid for a while, but he's back, and luckily he's alive.
But it was there not that long ago.
You kind of been dipping in it. Yeah, it's been a little while. Nick's been doing his own thing.
He lives further away now, so it's a thing.
Yeah, Alec needs to move somewhere between me and Justin.
I'm not telling Alec what to do. He's a grown ass man. He can make his own decisions.
He wants to. He's over here all alone.
He's not that far.
I'm close to Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah. You're like
bastards.
I'm close to Jerry.
18, 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're on the other side of him.
I'm just north of him. So if I go down to 470, I'm probably like 10 minutes from him.
Well, like 2:30 in the morning, I got a text from Jerry last night, and it only took me 15 minutes to get there. No traffic. So,
hey, that's pretty good.
Oh no.
So he says.
I was hoping you're going to be in person tonight so I could deliver you your goods.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it looks awesome. I mean, from what you guys posted and everything. I can't wait.
Yeah. So we're gonna do our Ghostbusters Afterlife in-depth breakdown. So
we got some things to attend to.
Yeah, there's a few items on
all Ghostbusters related and Ghostbusters Afterlife related. But as you know, we have a little segment called Sick Sad World, and we're gonna head into that right now.
No news.
I mean, are all your friends Satanists?
A young Frenchman photographed this flying saucer, or is it?
Do you believe in UFOs, astral projections, mental telepathy, ESP, clairvoyance, spirit photography?
We're discussing Satanism and the occult this morning and some of the dangers.
Telekinetic movement, full trance mediums, the Loch Ness Monster, and the theory of Atlantis.
For the purposes of this study, we will focus on the number 666. Tonight on Sick Sad World.
Here.
Look at the shirt that Alec wore for you, Jerry.
You get Indian rug burns.
I love it. Let's go Royals.
So what's today's topic, Alec?
What are we doing today, Zool? It's anything that I've saved in my phone. Now, don't be looking over here, because by the way, there's probably some random,
random private parts. Genitalia.
Yeah, you guys don't want to see what Jerry looks like down there. I mean, that's what I look down there. Sorry.
Down there on Jerry? Or in Jerry? I don't want to see you in Jerry.
Oh, Jesus. I'm being like...
You in Jesus? Huh. That'd be... I don't know.
Do they talk about you like this, Nick?
Nick is... No, he gets talked to like he's Riff Raff from Rocky Horror.
Basically.
Like our butler. That doesn't do anything.
That doesn't butler.
That doesn't butler.
Are you prepared?
Yes. I'm trying to find the right comments here because I've screenshotted so much shit.
Set it up. Set it up what you're looking for.
Basically, what I'm looking for is weird and terrible opinions and or comments posted on Facebook about Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yes, there's so many. Every like Ghostbusters group on Facebook is just flooded with people who are like, oh, I need to talk to people about the movie. And some of these people, I mean, I love Ghostbusters, but Jesus Christ, this really fucking makes me fear for humanity's future. I mean, some of the comments and the ignorance that coming out of this is like,
here's a good place
did
to
you
start.
at high school?
Are they being hateful, or is it more just like their ignorance?
It's well, all of the above,
and a combination of us being intellects and
it's a lot
other
of
people not
ignorance,
being that,
a lot
and
of ignorance toward Afterlife.
Yeah, and then us being
towards-
self-aware of our pretentiousness.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of that.
We embrace
this
it.
guy says, "Who thinks Ryan Reynolds would make a great Ghostbuster?"
Boring.
That's a sentence that makes me want to punch you.
Ryan Reynolds is a great Deadpool. Let's let him be Deadpool.
And Van
He's really
Wilder.
great at being Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds.
Yeah, he's fine. I don't want to see him in a Ghostbusters movie. No offense, but that's just not the
Yeah.
kind of comedy I want in Ghostbusters.
Not the type of actor he is, and he kind of is the same character in almost every movie. And if that's going to be that character in Ghostbusters, I don't want it.
There's a guy who posted a review in one of the groups like 3 days after Afterlife came out. A review of 2016 Ghostbusters for some reason, for some fucking
He did
weird
a review
reason.
of that.
Yeah, 3 days after Afterlife came out. And it was okay. He did a review of it. I mean, he posted whatever he typed up in that section. That's all he did. There's no publication, no YouTube. Just like, here's my review. And it was like too long, didn't read, basically.
Kind of irritates me about people, even on my friends list. They always like make up this post like they're a professional critic, and they write it out as a post.
And he kept
they try to
calling
sound
it-
really professional about it.
He kept saying things like woke busters, and he just had really bad grammar. In
This
general.
one's woke. You see how diverse that small town is?
Yeah, there's non-binary actor in it. I mean, it's kind of
Oh,
way
yeah,
more woke.
Celeste.
I made a comment basically because he went on this long ass rant about it. I was basically just commented, you should seek therapy.
I've told a lot of people that lately. I've really been trolling. I'm like, get a fucking counseling. This movie's 5 years old. If it's keeping you up,
Yeah,
at night,
Jerry.
Well, he also hit no.
Not fair.
Jerry's pretty good at
Jerry
ignoring
has a
it.
blog.
The only time I've talked with Jerry about it is when I've brought it up to him because
He doesn't.
I
go-
know I'm looking for
Oh, okay.
intelligent discourse with it as opposed to this kind of shit where this guy then hit me up in the DMs at 4:20 in the morning.
420.
Perfect timing.
You're
What
like-
do you mean I should seek therapy? I'm a real person with passion for movies. Like my two favorite YouTube critics, OCP Communications and Rambafor for Life, who are friends of mine here on Facebook too. I am a movie critic, and honest criticism to movies is what I do, even in critiquing on movies to criticizing a movie, even a bad movie with a rant.
Yeah, that made no sense at all.
Yes. So that
I don't understand why
I'm
you
trying to piece that together.
yeah.
It's because you can show me on the doll where the 2016 movie hurt you, and may or may not be
Butthole.
your family member that made you have an aversion to the 2016 movie. Because there's a lot of people like going out of their way and like bringing that up and comparing it to Afterlife. Like they're two different movies that have nothing to do with each other besides the title Ghostbusters. Not in the same universe, not connected in any way, shape, or form. Let it be.
It
And,
didn't
like,
kill the franchise. Let's just leave it alone.
yeah, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of people that like it.
If
so
it had
why-
killed the franchise,
It
yeah,
clearly
bitch about it
helped the
forever, but-
franchise. If I mean, it's fine to say you don't like the movie, but
And
you didn't
wasn't
buy a cooler, motherfucker.
yeah.
Tell me, you
wasn't
didn't-
Jason Reitman? Wasn't he? He was involved with Answer the Call, right?
Ivan and Dan were in the very basic concept that they created Ghost Corps in order to work out the legal rights holder stuff with it.
But they plan to do much.
But I thought Jason was involved with somewhat of the making or producing or something. But my point is, like, if he didn't have that experience, Afterlife would have never happened because he would have never
Well, no, I mean,
wanted to take on Ghostbusters.
Supposedly, the early stages of development on Afterlife was all the way back in 2016. Like, but
You're
yeah,
getting
there's-
out of my
that's the
sick
story.
sad world here.
yeah,
yeah. All right.
you want to
But-
read more mean tweets?
Yes, basically. This one says, I won't be able to see this film until it gets released to DVD/Blu-ray. And I feel as if the spoilers are coming. I intentionally said it abrasively. I don't want to leave the group because I think it's great, but some of you just can't help yourselves. Please try and refrain from giving out spoilers. I'm sorry. This is too funny to me. Please try and refrain from giving out spoilers. Someone once ruined the ending of Titanic for me, and I'm still pissed about that.
So he's joking, or
he's not.
Oh.
Like you can tell in the bad grammar and weird spaces randomly inserted.
What does he mean? Like Leo dies, or the boat goes down?
Either way, it's hilarious because that's how it's.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like Leo dies, and maybe
the boat sinks. Spoiler.
That reminds me of the one that I saw where he's like a truck driver and he takes his wife and son truck driving with him, but they never do anything but truck driving. So he says, I can't go see this movie because I'm a truck driver and I'm gonna have to wait till DVD or whatever. And everybody's like, you can't take 2 hours out of work to go see the movie.
Park your fucking
right.
And then he started saying he's not a lazy piece of trash or whatever because he won't take 2 hours off work.
Right.
What about when he's off of work from being a truck driver? He's not driving 24 hours a day.
Well, I guess when he's not driving, he's sleeping, and that's all they do. And I was like, well, your life sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna email you the whole spoilers right now. Go ahead, Alec.
This is on another one of those posts where people are just like, they can't realize that there's flaws in this movie. So what they're doing is bringing down 2016 again. That's what a lot of these comments are, but
yeah, mostly.
But either way, it's irrelevant. I think so. One guy says, "Where is the guy who was posting how it didn't make it as much as the 2016 one's opening weekend?" Someone else says, "Probably choking on a dick." Definitely a Walter Peck.
Didn't Answer the Call make a little bit more?
I think so.
Opening week.
It's irrelevant to me.
No, I know. I was just
people think that, like, these people who are saying, I see it all the time. Like, I wish I had a good example to just pop up now, but they're talking about how, and my mind's blank.
Well, what people fail to realize with what the box.
Well, what were you saying? Because I had the thought, and it was a good one.
I just said, didn't Answer the Call make just a little bit more opening weekend?
Oh yeah, so people are trashing critics, right? And they're basically saying critics don't matter. It's what is at the box office that matters. Well, actually, that's not what matters in terms of being a good movie or not. Making money does not determine whether it's a good movie or not.
They're not reviewing it as a fan or for fans. They're reviewing it objectively.
Did you market it good, basically, is what that means. And did people spend money because they wanted to see it?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why that's irrelevant to me.
Well, what people forget too is 2016 came out in July. It was a summer tentpole film. Now, this film was supposed to be, but obviously it got delayed. If you look at traditional fall releases, it's holding up really well for the weekend it is, especially based off of a lot of people are still not comfortable going to theaters. So you can't compare it one to the other exactly and get a fair comparison. It's just not going to work. No matter how you try to manage it, it's just never going to be a fair comparison.
Remember that one, Nick? Did you ever say anything on that?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
I forgot to delete it, though. I told him I'd wait till he read it and then delete it.
So I won't say his name, but I will name drop the people he name drops. At least one of them, because it's funny. There's a guy who posted in our Frog Bros video.
He talks about Afterlife in that?
No, but this is in our group. So
yeah,
it's relevant.
Okay.
Because this is Six Sad World. So
okay.
I'm just scrolling through and seeing what I have here. That's relevant. This one's just funny because hey everyone, the director and co-director of Ghostbusters Hell Fury is looking for a female actress, model, cosplayer that would be interested in playing the main villain in our nonprofit fan fiction web series, Ghostbusters Hell Fury.
Oh, this is a different post.
There will be travel involved to reach the locations for our exterior and interior set locations. If you are interested, please contact either blank or Tom Gebhardt.
They're putting Gozer in their fan film now, aren't they?
And you put that in, right?
Fucking idiot.
First of all, you're not doing a fan film, right? When you're asking people to spend their own money on travel and come to you.
No, not only that, but he wanted people to buy props for him and everything else. He's wanting people to donate money. Like, they're gonna have to take off a lot of work and travel to Maine.
For something that's not even going to happen.
no finished script anyway. But he's been wanting to do this for 6 years.
And I hate to be the dickhead
Or
about
9
it, but most fan film stuff is
No, you can be a dickhead because he was a dickhead to the people.
subpar, right? And so there's some that are fun out there, right? Obviously Freddy versus the Ghostbusters, Return of the Ghostbusters, those are fun because there wasn't a lot going on at the time. They're well done.
And that was made a long time ago too.
Yeah. And then so now everyone's like, oh, everyone that can get an Adobe subscription now is like, oh, I need to make a movie. And you're like, let's maybe think about that. Maybe you should try to do a video of you doing something around your house that's funny and see if you can edit that before you try to get people to commit spending thousands of dollars on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
People who mostly aren't filmmakers either.
Yeah,
that's the thing. If you're a filmmaker and you're doing a fan film,
he's
at least
writer, director, and producer. And I guess he's handing out meaningless co-director titles too.
He's not producing anything if he's not paying for anything. And it sounds like he's trying to get everyone else to pay for it.
No, that's what I told him.
This one guy wanted to argue that he commented on the picture of the cast picture at the house on the studio, where there's everybody.
Oh, the whole crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He posted, it does not take this many people to film a movie.
Because he watched the end credits of a movie before.
Right. That's what most of the
that's not even everybody, I'm sure, because that's not all the special effects people and everything else, probably.
And then
digital effects. Yeah.
He commented one of his other posts was
they're not there in that picture.
That sheriff's an asshole and that deputy needs Ann punch in the face.
That's Dan Aykroyd's daughter.
Yeah, I quit watching at an hour and 19 minutes. That's way too long to get to the point. And the mom's a jerk. What's funny is this person wrote basically some other post where they were saying that they loved 2016. So they were one of that was the first person that I saw that was actually
going opposite of the norm,
the opposite of what the other people are doing, which is this person isn't doing just as much of a dumb thing, but again, it's all reactionary. So hard yikes. Or what's this one? Holy Christ. Is this a whole
I don't know if you can read all that. That's a lot of
that's what I was saying. Like, no, that's not even what I want to do here. Let me see here. What else do we got? We got a couple more probably. Not that.
I should have saved some of these too when I saw them.
I just screenshotted all my comments and sent them to you guys in DMs because I was like, I was just being an asshole. I'm just so sick of people being stupid.
Some of the ones you commented on, I thought about commenting. And I was like,
But see, I said shit that wouldn't get me banned. I was just like, please get.
Well, obviously, I've been too.
Here's a funny one for you.
All right.
And this could just be a casual fan, as opposed to somebody else, because these groups are flooded right now. But still, most of the music was from the original Ghostbusters with maybe a faster beat.
Yeah.
No.
Some of it.
That's not how that works.
Literally, maybe 25% of the score is direct things. The rest of it is trying to sound like it. But like the Gozer theme, obviously, and then the Ghostbusters theme, and then a couple other little bits here and there. But
yeah, there's nothing.
Mostly, it is new. Mostly,
yeah, and there's some stuff.
I've listened to it a few times,
so
it's good. It's better than the. Oops, almost said it.
That score is not bad, actually. I have that score.
No, it's not.
It's a decent score.
But I still like this one better.
Yeah. Well, it's
got more memorable themes, whereas
this is very
more kind of like
I can,
background music.
I've been listening to this score a lot, and I can imagine like what's going on in the movie already, just having seen it 3 times and then going from there. So, Jerry, how many viewings are you up to?
2. I've only done 2 so far.
That's what people want, Mike, Nick.
We need to make 3, and then we need to hit up the Screenland Armor to go up there.
Yeah, I definitely want to do 3, and I want to go up there to get that the IPA beer. I was up in the neck of the woods, but it was too early in the day where I couldn't stop by it.
Yeah,
it'd be a good excuse to go see it.
This is my last one.
What's that?
Alex, find his next note.
You guys were just talking like beer, so I was like kind of just waiting for an open spot to interject. This guy commented on a random post. And I've seen this guy spamming everywhere, so that's why it's funny. He says, I made a group for those that have seen the movie and want to discuss it, but also don't want to spoil it for the world.
Oh, yeah.
So I made a space for that. There will be spoilers. So if you didn't see it, go see it and come chat. Those are 2 separate sentences. That's why I'm like, wait, what? So if you didn't see it, is not a sentence, by the way. It has like it's formally not a sentence in the English language.
It
But
needs a subject and a verb.
I'm not even going to name the group or anything, but someone else commented, which
Name the group.
who you
Fuck,
going to
we
call dirt farmers.
Hmm.
But either way,
I wish you hadn't
the
named
group members aren't the problem. Obviously, it's just one skeet towel who's being weird. Somebody commented, "Hello, you have to stop spamming this. I've seen that you already posted this like 4 times.
Well, everywhere's lifted their spoiler ban, so
You should only post it once on this page and wait for people to come to you." Here's what someone said. "Sorry if you don't like it. You will see it more. I post it when folks say they have seen it, so as to keep this page fairly spoiler free."
So
and
guy's just
FYI,
trying to-
I've been getting requests left and right, so apparently you are the minority in this case.
So this guy just doesn't like being told not to spam.
The person that commented "hello, stop" or whatever was like also the original poster. So, or this post, person. This is the last one, I guess. It's a screenshot earlier with apparently Liz interjecting, but it was somebody saying these should be new Ghostbusters. Zach Braff, Idris Elba, Ryan Reynolds, and Zachary Lloyd. And most people are like, no. And then there's people just saying random dumb shit like this. How about Michael B. Jordan, Paul Rudd, Chris Pratt, and McKenna Grace?
they name people they know.
Yeah. Which is like 4 people.
Direct
How about
it.
Will Ferrell,
Have
Bill
Christopher
Hader,
Nolan
Ice Cube,
direct
and
it.
Robert Downey Jr.? Like, what fucking random?
Wait, Ice Cube? Hell yeah.
I mean,
let's do that.
All right, here's mine, right? About
wait.
Pauly Shore, Andy Dick, Charlie Sheen, and Mel Gibson.
Oh my
Fuck
god.
yeah, Jesus Christ! I'd pay good money to see that. Hopefully, it's not a Ghostbusters movie. I just want them to work.
No, it's a Ghostbusters movie, directed by Michael Bay.
Christopher Nolan.
Oh, fuck Michael.
Yeah, do that.
Steve Martin and Martin Short.
I mean, Michael Bay has some bangers. Let's not lie. They did just send a spaceship into space to knock an asteroid off course. They literally just did that in reality. And Michael Bay's tweeting about it, and he's like, "Fuck yeah, look at my massive cock. I did this in a movie 30 years ago." They actually just did it to see if they could alter the voice, because there's not one actually heading for us. So no need to panic.
Or is there? It doesn't change this one's course to hit us.
I was just telling you that before we all
That's what
started
people said.
beating
They're
off
like, "Oh,
like
no, that
with the
can't
impending
happen."
doom, you know, like in
So
I hope
what is
an
that?
asteroid hits the Earth after I die.
So everyone put their respective pieces away.
Yeah,
and no
that's-
one talked
there
about
you go.
it.
All rats.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump into.
We're just gonna
Let's bring. Yeah.
a little hard already, huh?
Yeah.
Front Row Video Reviews with the Frog Brothers Podcast.
Frog Brothers Podcast.
Who's this British woman?
Some bot.
But so we've all seen Ghostbusters Afterlife. We're gonna get into the nitty gritty.
Seen it quite a few times.
How many times have you guys seen it?
I've gone 3 times now.
Yeah, I'm at 3. Alec and I went and saw it on the IMAX on Thanksgiving.
Nice.
IMAX.
How was that?
Ghostbusters is the only time I'll go to a movie on Thanksgiving, because I hate that they're the only people, like some of the only few people that have to actually work. Because I used to work in movie theaters, and it was always like annoying.
I'm at 4.5. Don't ask what half.
I was there for the half.
He got the tip cut in the zipper. It's okay. It was a whole thing.
Basically.
You got the beans over the Frank.
How'd you get the beans over the Frank? Man, so this movie really gets into it, and there's a few.
Where are we going to start with this thing? Because I have.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to talk about the comparisons, the Easter eggs, just the overall story, like
like the summary of the plot?
Yeah, do we want to go through the story and talk in that, or do we want to talk about what we liked and then what we maybe had issues with? Or I don't know. How do you want to do this?
I don't know. I'm nervous.
I know
people are gonna view us differently after they hear.
Well, we don't need to summarize the movie, because I'm assuming people watching this have seen the movie.
Well, we're not summarize, but we kind of go through, and it helps us comment on more of it, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. All right.
go through it chronologically.
Yeah, I suppose. So let's start with just the Egon opening.
Yeah, the Egon opening I thought was great. I really loved.
Well, actually, right before that, the Sony logo. I mean, I really like the Sony logo.
I like how
the Ghost Corp logo
part of the score.
Mm-hmm.
I did love how they started the score right in there, and like it kind of gives you just a little leeway to build up, and it's fun there. I did enjoy that.
See,
yeah.
See how like I brought up the thing, and it was stupid, but then Justin actually had a real point about it. The whole movie, we're gonna go through it beat by beat.
Okay, so
what's the first opening shot? The actual shot of the camera.
It's the mountain getting with electricity, right?
Yeah,
Proton stream going in there.
Yeah, you see the proton stream go up into the mountain, which is interesting because
it's like you ever tried peeing up. If you have to pee really bad,
I thought it was like lightning coming down. Maybe I missaw that.
Well, the proton stream goes up into the sky.
Yeah, the proton stream is shooting straight up, and then
we see the truck.
Then we see the truck, which it says Shandor Mining Company, but it's a newer truck. So this is my first thing, and I'm like, why the hell is he driving a Shandor Mining Company truck?
Why newer? What do you mean, like an '80s truck? I don't know what.
Where does it say Shandor Mining Company on the truck? I saw the sign for Shandor Mining.
It is a Shandor Mining truck.
It's on the side door. When we did a trailer review breakdown, I went frame by frame and
Well, see, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
obviously because I didn't watch any of the trailers before the movie.
And the fence on the bridge is intact, and then he rams through it intact and locked. So how did he swim across?
Dramatic effect.
Yeah.
No, he stole the truck on his way out. So
that's probably what it was.
There somewhere
else. He could have gotten by on foot, or whatever, right? So I do love how after he breaks that gate, though, you see the gate is broken open.
They never showed any characters' shit in this movie, so that means they're all holding their shit.
Yes,
because things we didn't
podcast doesn't have
don't
parents.
happen. We know this.
Yeah,
podcast lives in a box.
Yes, like lots of movie characters. He never lives at a character. He lives in a house with other.
We don't know his
characters
first
that live
name
by themselves.
Podcast doesn't have a name.
No, my only thing is with the Shandor Mining vehicles that they say the mine shut down in the 40s, right? 1945.
And that truck is newer.
And
yeah,
so
it's World War II era.
If that truck's around, was someone still maintaining that somehow, or why is there a truck that's there? Because that style of truck is at least
maybe the next one will go back for another round of Gozer, a third round of Gozer.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a plot hole.
No,
I know why they try to do
Gozer's not coming back till like 2135. It's on the wall, man.
Gozer and Vigo are going to team up.
The next movie will be in 2135.
Fuck. And that's going to be the villain of the next movie.
Gozer and Vigo's offspring.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
But see, goes penis into Vigo's bussy.
It's already defaulted into this.
Is it going to be like Bride of Chucky? And like this is going to be the worst character in movie history?
Gozer's the top.
It's whatever it wants to be.
Vigo has a nice bussy for Gozer, so
yeah.
But then the terror dog rams his truck off the road, and he goes rolling into the corn.
Yeah.
And then he gets out.
He should have been
limping.
I want to do some cuts to this movie, and like when he comes out of there, I want to edit in like an arm, like taking a bite of the corn, like he has.
I thought you were gonna say a crunch bar.
He's like running up the thing, and he's eating some of the corn. He grabbed it on his way in the house. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna eat some corn."
No, that is an interesting point. We see what we assume is the spectral form of Zool hits the car because he's got Vince Clortho in the trap.
Oh God! Now we got to get into the whole thing, whether or not these Sentinels are the Terror Dogs or they aren't, or if they're Terror Dogs Sentinels specifically, and they're not the same entities or not. Because,
but even if that's the case, I think it's just they deleted shit, and now it's
confusing.
Now either way, it's still Zool and Vince because any other.
Well, isn't Zool the one that got caught because ultimately Zool comes out and gets Carrie Coon, right?
I think Zool's in the trap if it's Zool. Yeah,
Zool's the one that's in the trap.
Right.
Yeah, you would assume that.
I just don't get why they would look different in Spectre.
I don't know how detailed we want to be, but I'm just thinking Zool's in the trap, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You would assume so, and then that's another thing that people are talking about. Some people have an opinion that Egon killed himself. Some people have an opinion that he did have a heart attack.
Maybe it's supposed to be ambiguous.
I think so.
Do you want to think he killed himself?
I like to think he killed himself because it's just adds to the fucked up lore. Like,
yeah,
Egon killed
or
himself.
he shocked the terror dog, but it still shocked him.
You made a
and
ghost toy action figure of Harold Ramis. You may as well have his character fucking kill himself.
I agree with the suicide thing because he has unfinished business. If he had just died of a natural causes heart attack, he may not have been able to hang around. But if he kills himself, he's hanging around. You know, if they say the whole ghost lore is needing.
That's the
a
thing
reason
I
to be
noticed
there.
on the third viewing too, is like after he dies and
it takes a
the
second
terror
for
dog's a second, but then the PKE meter goes off.
Yeah,
that's
really.
basically indicating that he's a ghost now.
Right.
Yeah,
But
Right.
like I didn't realize, I didn't catch that just because I was so in the moment the first two viewings.
I thought from watching the trailer he was going to suffer like a mortal injury in the truck crash, and he was just going to bleed out in the house or something.
Right.
I saw it, but you know that's the implication. But
So
I'll just what? Or go ahead, Justin.
say, well, I listened to the Cross Rips podcast today, and Troy had on one of the special effects artists, and
Yeah, I listened to that too today.
And so he basically said that there was a much more intense, scary scene. Like it was very violent with what actually happened with some of those, the terror dog's arms ripping through the chair, but they just didn't make the final cut. So I'm really,
That's right. I forgot about that. So that might be in the director's cut, he said, but maybe they won't, just to leave it more ambiguous, like you guys mentioned.
That's basically the only scary scene in the movie. That's like for me. I mean,
There's some jump scares
toward the end that could be.
when I think about
scary.
letting my kids watch this, there's a few things in there that I'm like, yeah, that'll probably bother them, but if I'm there, they may not
like
mind.
when
I mean, they've
Phoebe's
seen the
looking
first
down
one.
in the well and they got those arms, that might be kind of scary for kids.
that. Well, and when they
don't
split Evo in half,
That's big
like I'm not gonna let my daughters watch that.
as a kid
Yeah.
too, and
Yeah, ripping them in half was
And that's all practical, which is cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super cool, but
like a body
I'm
double.
gonna be too scared to see that. And I did a drop, like I didn't get scared in that moment, but I was like, oh shit, like that when I first saw that.
I thought it was a little cheesy to be honest, but
Ripping them in half.
yeah,
Oh, that
because it was like split down the middle like a fucking blade.
Yeah, it's like
kind of
how does that?
I don't think it's cheesy. I think that Evo didn't necessarily need to be a part of the movie. You know, his corpse there. He didn't.
killed there. I'm just saying the way he was killed. Like you could have just lightning him. You could have even fucking ripped his heart out, Indiana Jones style. I don't know anything else.
Decapitate him.
Yeah, I think the tearing
Well-
the half in the middle is just a little cheesy for me.
I definitely wish Shandor was in more of it. But
I'm okay with that, but
well, and I think
something new.
you
though.
cast a reputable
True.
actor to
Yeah.
perform in that role, so that, not to say that we want to see that, but that does open the possibility that if you were going to explore the lore, you could have an Evo Shandor story just without the Ghostbusters in it, just about the lore, if you chose to do
Amazon
so.
no one's going to
series.
do that.
You never know
No,
if they want to do
they-
it.
Shandor, the Amazon TV show.
They could
No.
do the Tobin Spirit Guide, the series, and have an episode about each of these people.
Well, he was in Juno.
No.
Is that just a friend thing? He's
Could
like,
be. Yeah, I'm
Hey, buddy,
assuming.
come in and do this cameo.
What do you think? Alec is over here getting.
I just
fucking
don't think
angry.
it. No, I'm not getting angry. I just don't think it'll happen. I think it's like your brain is. I'm the one who's stoned,
Well,
and I feel like I'm more
This
realistic
was their
about what they
chance to
might
explore
actually do.
Shandor. I don't think they should ever return to that well at all.
Yeah.
Shandor goes or anything.
Well, according to some people, the video game is still canon, so Shandor already has his bit.
It
and
is.
Fuck him.
It is interesting that he looks just like Shandor in the video game, though.
Yeah. I was surprised the guy today on the special effects did not mention that whenever he was talking about Evo, when they were trying to figure out his look, and Jason was like, yeah, that just signed off on the first go. I was like, it looks just like the video game one.
See, that guy could have looked at the video game for inspiration because he knew, but then Jason hadn't probably played it, so he was like, "Oh yeah, that looks cool, sure."
Hmm.
And that really goes back into more of it being about Jason, but that being kind of an Easter egg that he looks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm perfectly fine with that. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
But let's jump back in towards where we were because we got way off track from the.
We went to the end.
Well, we went. What do you think of that? I love the practical effects in here, man. I love the arms ripping through the chair. I love the fall.
Well, seeing the chair again is one of the big first thing that it's like. Remember Ghostbusters? Remember that movie?
Remember
Remember
Zool?
Ghostbusters?
Remember the chair?
Remember that scene where Sigourney Weaver got in the arms in the chair?
That was cool.
That was awesome.
And there's enough scenes in this movie that do that, but it's not like
I like this one the most because, like I said, this is the scariest scene in the movie for me. Like it's just really good.
Well,
Lighting
I love
and everything. I love
It's
it.
kind of dark.
Yeah.
know?
So the fact that
Yeah.
they're going back to these characters in some of this lore that we already know, that they're repeating some of that would be consistent, like with their behavior and stuff like that. So I don't hate that necessarily, but to your point, you're like, okay.
It does explain how in the first movie the pterodogs got from the roof to in Lewis's bedroom.
That is why I like the spectral thing, is that they can move around.
I like the smoke effect.
And it reminds me of Lost. Remember the smoke monster?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that does kind of explain how the pterodog got down there so fast. So
I mean, how they
I just didn't understand why Egon didn't have like a proton pack or something like for protection. He was just going out there naked, almost just with a trap. I mean, assumption
traps though that he was going to catch him in. He wouldn't have needed.
Well, the other interesting piece there when you talk about
or nothing handy. It was like in the lab. My point is like it's in the underground in the labs. Like, shouldn't you have like a proton pack in your living room too? Like if you're going to be doing something like this,
maybe. Yeah. Or have
unless
some
you've
kind
been
of
doing
turret
it
on the porch or something.
Unless you've been doing it so long, you wasn't worried about it. But
yeah, I would assume something went wrong.
But
maybe he just didn't. I don't know.
And then
he was all
the
planned,
ambiguity there at the beginning, because Egon's wanting to use the major trap that he built, right, to catch the terror dog. If he's already got one in a regular trap, why wouldn't he just have caught it with a regular trap?
Because he'd have to wrangle it and everything else, but with a field full of traps, he can catch it much easier by himself.
I think he was trying to capture Gozer herself.
First terror dog. Well, I don't think Gozer was out yet.
No, Gozer needs Zool and Vince.
But that was like the half Gozer form that was going after Egon, I assume.
Well, so there's just a lot of things that you could ask questions about, right? And it doesn't take away from the movie, but as uber nerds, we just want to know all the details of why and how they got to where they are. It's not a criticism. It's just I'm literally asking.
Yeah, we're wondering.
This
how
part
it
is not a
happened.
criticism.
No, and so do we all think that was a terror dog that came through?
I think it's
in
just
the
a
field?
terror dog. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's just from the way it looks and that they implied it.
Yes.
Now, if you're looking at it from the other perspective of what we've seen at the end of the movie, based on how he's trying to trap it and use everything, it kind of becomes more unclear. But I still think it's terror dog.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Because at the end of the movie, it's half Gozer, whatever you want to call that. You know, trying to get.
I don't think Gozer came.
The other half of him herself out of the trap.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, I'm assuming he obviously could have taken that one trap and replaced it had he actually caught both terror dogs and then been in a good spot, right? But just kind of fascinating that we see that, and it's so similar when Gozer comes back later. But
right, and because you see the other terror dog just sitting around, standing there in the final scene, not doing anything.
Yeah, that kind of bothers me too. Like, doesn't seem like the terror dogs ever do much of anything to protect Gozer.
Yeah.
I wanted to see him flat out battle the terror dogs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have terror dogs, and there's not a lot of. I guess the closest you get is when he's trapped, and Vince is chasing after them in the Ecto, which that seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and
they probably think like, what are you going to do with the terror dogs?
We haven't even gotten to the introduction of Phoebe and the family yet.
Yeah.
They're not the original guys.
So
right. That's how some of these old people talk about this movie. The introduction though at the apartment, you kind of have Callie sitting there cutting his hair.
Remember when Egon had the bright light and blinded Peter?
Oh, yep.
That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
So the family intro.
It's all of them.
Yeah, there's so many callbacks, but the family intro I thought was fine. It gets to the point, and like we've already kind of.
Phoebe's funny in it because she's fucking with the lights next door, and she's like, she says something about like the neighbor's power's out of phase or something.
Yeah, so she ups it to 220, which is basically like if you're going to run a major appliance.
She said she's going to run her lathe.
Yeah, which is awesome. And so if you look around her room, there's a lot of Easter eggs of stuff that she's tinkered with and devices she's made just to kind of show you that. So if you're paying close attention, it really builds her character just by seeing that room.
I did see a short deleted scene from Callie's bedroom. And there was
oh my God.
Nothing ever happened.
Is that where that ghost trap toy came from?
No, I was just gonna make a strap-on joke, but
I was gonna make a muncher dildo joke.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that toy got recalled for obvious reasons.
Ghost penis.
I think.
Why don't they just take the fucking muncher out of it?
I'm sure they're going to take the muncher
so. I want
to
see that thing out in time for Christmas.
Yeah, I want to see that, and then they can send all the munchers over to Bad Dragon. They can resell them.
May as well. Somebody needs to make some ecto
themed to Bad Dragons.
Yeah,
Like
and
a
I was
terror
trying to
dog
figure out a
penis.
way to combine dildo and ecto because they both end in O, but it doesn't work.
No,
So-
it's just two. It's not obvious.
Dildo.
The ecto dildo, I
The
guess.
ecto dildo, yeah. You can fuck the car.
No, it's like there's a bright green one that's veiny and slimy and fat.
Slimy.
And then you have Muncher that's ribbed, like the arms and shit.
Oh yeah, the nubs on the arms. Yeah.
You have a Gozer. It's like
Got a flat
pink
top.
and more petite, but longer and curved up to get the spot right. You know,
we
what I'm
could
saying?
design this whole line. So
And
if somebody
Vigo-
wants to work with us.
Vigo's is like basically a giant butt plug that's brown.
But it's got to have armor on it. There's like a little leather piece with jewels
Right.
on the bottom of the plug.
Yeah.
So it matches his armor. Actually, it's got the little skull things on the bottom of it. Yeah. We just
On a
figured it out.
mountain of skulls in a castle of plain, I sat on a big butt plug. What was will be, what is will be in my ass.
That's amazing.
Time is but a door, my ass is a window. I'll come on your back.
When God closes a door, he opens your butthole.
Basically. Wasn't he also Vigo the Butch? Yeah, so Ghostbusters Afterlife.
So
then we have some of the cool soundtrack edition song, the clapback song, the clapping song.
Oh, well, hang on. Let's just jump back first. I loved how
This
you
is gonna take forever.
immediately see Callie fucking hates her dad because she's already making like the one-liners about him. She's like, "Oh, your dad abandoned your family too?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Probably like,
Yeah.
you know, because
You
everyone."
guys noticed that? Well, also then she got when they got evicted. It's kind of the same story with the Ghostbusters. You know, getting evicted from Columbia.
Mhm.
So those similarities there, because that was at the next kind of scene, right?
He was probably already drinking schnapps too.
Yeah.
Hey, I found a.
But isn't that after Egon gets killed? Isn't that like the next scene is them at the apartment and with
Yeah.
with Phoebe in the lab? Okay, yeah. And then
you start the little road trip montage where you see everything, them driving around and driving into Somerville.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Summer Sumerian.
Obviously. Thanks, Nick. You put 2 and 2 together for me. God damn, we can count to 4 now.
Remember Ghostbusters?
Holy shit, we're talking about Ghostbusters?
No, I'm saying remember the original Ghostbusters, not this one.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Uh-huh.
Me too.
Yeah.
So did Jason Reitman. And Gil Keenan. So what happens next? They get there and then they go to the house and then
Trevor starts.
You remember Ghostbusters? So there's this scene where they're in the car and they talk about the Bible. Which one am I talking about?
Which Bible verse?
No, I'm talking about both Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters Afterlife right
I was
now.
gonna say you're talking about both of them.
That's my point.
Yeah, and they're basically reading
Again,
off
obviously.
the scripture that Egon has out there.
I don't get it.
It's a little too much. I like it, but a little too like this one specifically was the first time I kind of cringed a little bit.
So Egon was a crackpot.
Right, I get it. But why would Egon be obsessed with that Bible verse that Ray was obsessed with?
Maybe
I don't think he
maybe Ray and
would.
Egon talked about it.
If
Yeah,
the way
that's
I
fine.
interpreted that is that Egon was putting that shit up to get people to leave him alone, but he's also like humoring himself in like a sick way. He's like, because he knows what he's doing, so he's like, well, no one will fucking bother me if I put this shit up.
That's a
even
good way
though
of
it's
looking
like
at it.
a
Yeah,
kind
that's
of a-
better.
yeah,
He's
that's a
always
good
gone
idea.
on about that quote.
When it's really just Jason Reitman going, put this here. People will love this. They'll love this. Tom Gebhardt's gonna love this.
We'll make it make sense.
Video Bob is gonna fucking lose his shit when
Video
he sees
Bob.
this.
Video Bob's building a full-scale firehouse.
Yeah, he's building a full-scale firehouse replica. Come see it in Las
Amusement
Vegas
park.
when you could just go see it in New
Oh,
York.
is it in Vegas? I thought it was in California.
No, he has a store in Vegas or something, some like shitty movie museum kind of thing or something. There's lots of weird shit on his YouTube. And so, well, we won't get into a Video Bob, hate for him.
I don't need to get into that right now. It's going to distract me. And I got lots of evil things to say about Video Bald.
He's going to listen to this and we're going to hear about it now.
Oh, whatever.
He's
Stop
probably like-
using just
he's
for
probably
men.
like
Let your
a
hair
big-
go gray, you old
he's
fart.
probably a big
You look like a
fan.
fucking skeet towel with that much hair dye in your face. Sorry, I had to say it. Now we can get back on track.
Hey, so Ghostbusters.
So they're driving up, and then obviously, they get to the dirt farm.
Yeah. And
Pretty cool.
I do like, it reminds me of like both Back to the Future, the house, and as well as Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like a little bit of both of those vibes. Obviously, this is more decrepit kind of thing, but it's cool. I like the antennas on the house. The house design itself is kind of cool. The barn, how it looks sunk in, like looks genuinely
looks
old.
like
And
fucking Bates Motel house.
And so when you do the callbacks, obviously the firehouse is decrepit inside. There's no, they can't handle all.
I think this building should be condemned.
Yeah. So obviously another throwback right there. And then
Hold on, we saw Janine before that, didn't we?
No, Janine
get out
comes
of
in
the
when they're
car
in the house
because
she sees them.
We
in
don't see
house.
the Ecto before Janine.
no,
right?
Phoebe
No,
has
I
to
was
pick
talking
the
about the
lock,
barn.
and then the barn, and then all the broken down cars around there.
That is funny that she's like breaking your grandfather's house.
And she just
has a
it right away.
lockpick kid on her.
Any of my complaints, if it seems I don't like this movie, it's not true.
I
I
think-
love this movie, but I have issues with all of the, as me and Nick have been referring to as from South Park, the member berries, because there's a little bit too much of
Do you
it.
think Phoebe's been robbing people?
I hope
to
so.
pay
That would make a
rent?
fucking dope fucking character.
Because she's got like
Hell,
lockpick kits on her. Her mom doesn't work. She's got her son at the burger joint. She got Phoebe picking locks.
She's got child support for 2 children.
How do you know she doesn't run an OnlyFans? Well,
Yeah.
maybe see that in the deleted scenes. I don't mean Phoebe, fear dear God, so don't assume that. I mean Callie, obviously. I can just see it
How
in
do you
Nick's
know?
eyes. He
Yeah,
side-eyed
I
me.
know. I didn't think that until you said it.
Nick automatically goes to the dark.
Callie's a cool mom.
I did say last night that I bet there's one fan that stuck Phoebe up their butts already.
And then I responded with the Obi-Wan Kenobi meme. Of course I know him. He's me.
Oh, this is Justin's, right?
No, that's mine.
That's Alex.
Oh, damn it.
I cleaned it pretty well.
So, Jerry, what did you think of that arrival to the farmhouse?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was kind of cool with the
Farmhouse arrival.
the sunken garage and everything, just decrepit in the antennas and stuff. Something you guy would have.
That roof. Like if there's a story there.
Just
Yeah.
Ghost battle.
A pterodog jumped up.
What
there
did you
once,
think
that's
about
all.
the Bible verse on the gate?
Um,
You go where Justin.
I don't know. I didn't really think too much. I mean, at the time I did not really think about it, but I know Egon was more the skeptical one in that sense, but maybe he was just doing it just to keep people from,
Yeah.
messing with him, just as he's.
At the time.
Me too.
It's the only way
I
for
don't know, that's a good idea. I haven't really thought about it, to be honest.
Ray said he went spooky, so I thought maybe.
Well, and that's true. He went spooky and he started just ranting about it and how the one ghost a week wasn't enough, and he started turning down people and saying that their problems didn't matter because of the bigger issue,
Don't matter.
which translates to him kind of getting a little kooky, and maybe that's why he spray painted that shit out there.
you still think Egon could have proved it once he got there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Or took a picture.
I mean,
Texted a picture.
I feel like I could rant about that kind of thing all day. Like that's just such a weird minor thing in the movie, how it happens. Just like, oh yeah, Egon just went fucking crazy. Don't worry about it, man. Like, what do you mean? You gotta come on. But when you've watched the other movies and you see Egon's character, maybe he was just literally his behavior is what he means too. Like he's acting wild and shit. Like his hair is fucking growing out and it's unkept, and he's just like he's acting like a druggie or
I want to
something.
see that movie.
I would love it.
yeah, but I don't want.
But it's
Harold
called Back to the
Ramis.
Future.
Yeah,
Imagine Egon acting like Doc, and he's like,
Supposedly
he's
he almost
fucking
played
lost
Doc.
it. He's lost it. No. And then he disappears with the Ecto One.
Well, and does he lose it, or does he just become so obsessed and he doesn't know how to articulate it in a way to get people to understand?
Marty, we've got to get back to
I don't
Somerville.
know. You try to put the story in. You try to fill the gaps in your head. It's like
You
Jurassic
made an
Park.
ectomobile out of
We're trying to use frog DNA to fill in the gaps.
I was like, speaking of
And
filling in
complete
the
the
gaps.
code.
So then Janine shows up.
Yeah.
Which I did like how her scene actually turned out, because in the trailer, like, oh, she's gonna be like all loving and caring, and then she's kind of an asshole about it all.
Yeah, I think her appearance worked the most.
Although, yeah, I'm not going to try to tear that one apart because I just like that she's in it.
Do you have an issue with this, with her cameo?
Well, only because it's like, where does Janine? So Janine lives in New York, and assumingly she's only out there for this. But
yeah, probably helping with
when
the-
was the
the-
funeral? That's a thing that we should have seen
Yeah.
or heard about, at least in just like Janine saying you didn't make the funeral.
Maybe there wasn't a funeral.
There could have been in deleted dialogue even be where she's like, oh, you weren't here for the funeral, because I would assume
You could have made that scene a little stronger because at least she could have dropped off an urn with the ashes or some shit like that would make sense to that, right? Even having his urn with his ashes in the house would.
But that's another one of those things, like just because you don't see the characters all shit and eat doesn't mean it's not happening. So we have to just assume.
Another thing, you fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
Why didn't Janine tell Ray that Egon died?
I don't know. That's a good one too.
It's another one of those things. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Egon or Janine, based on the scene, only really kind of kept up with Egon because he needed help, and then beyond that, her relationship with Winston was still there. So
yeah, because she didn't even know that Winston was paying for the bookstore, really. So it just sounds like she's just disconnected from Ray.
Yeah. So there's some gaps there, right? I get it. They all make sense, but fill it in with your head. And I think to me, that's kind of the fun of it. Like, how do you make sense? Because I was a little disappointed at first when I walked out because of certain things didn't add up. But when you start to fill that in, you're like, this movie doesn't have time to fill in and answer every question that we have. There's
again, those cannot do. Most of those aren't my major issues. So, like I said, where are we at now?
So there's still people arguing about the color of the jumpsuits from 35 years ago. So we can pick a new movie apart.
Well, I love that Janine tells him basically, oh yeah, he left you a lot of debt, which that's not necessarily how that really works. But
you think in the trailer when she says, well, I wouldn't say nothing, she's talking about all the Ghostbusters equipment. But.
Yeah, and that frames up so well. I love how that was a good change because I was like, oh, we already knew how this scene's going to end.
No, I wouldn't say nothing. And she pulls out the dildo collection. And she's like,
anything's a dildo if you're brave enough. I think
this one's modeled after your father. I think I'll just take that. You don't need that.
Why does he have 3,000 Clone-A-Bone sets?
He was
straps and dicks.
Once he stopped with the ghost busting, he went to penis enlargement. So this is before he started. He gained a full quarter of an inch by the end of the year. Ray, the penis grew about 1.5 feet.
This is just this complete and utter.
That's why Egon was running the
That's
way
why
he
it's
did
the
through
Frog Brothers podcast.
We've got points, but we get off track easily.
It's how it stays fun for me, at least.
Yeah.
The listeners, I don't know. You have to tell me if it's just fun for you. Also, describe it in a comment, perhaps, or a review on iTunes.
Smash that dislike button.
That too, because dislikes numbers don't show up anymore. All it does is make things not show up in your algorithm as much.
Oh.
Yep. They just changed that.
You won't see any videos talking about.
You can only see likes. If you like our video, you'll see the number go up. They'll go, oh, one person liked this video. Because let's be honest,
it doesn't show how many people dislike it now.
No, the dislike numbers
really
gone.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's a new thing.
It's because of that 2016 movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say that broke YouTube on dislikes.
There's too many dislikes.
Well, then obviously
it's a conspiracy.
We get into the big trailer scene where the house shakes and they all have to hide under the table, which you start noticing like how much stuff is in that house, which, I mean, you could just spend so much time looking at everything in the background on there. For
remember that?
That's why I can't wait till it comes out so we can like frame by frame pause it.
Stack those books that way.
He stacked it because
I
he was
thought
like,
there was ghosts in the house.
You know why he stacked it? Because he was like, I remember that one time when we were in the library and there was those books stacked that way.
No human being. He's like, I'm gonna prove Peter wrong. I'm gonna stack these books.
Basically, he was thinking about that exact moment because otherwise, there's no reason other than the people watching this.
I remember things people said 35 years ago.
I mean, I stack books like that because I'm an asshole, but I don't stack it that high.
Exactly. No human being. Okay. I'm gonna do a VHS stack of that. See how high I can get it. It'll probably fall when it's like halfway up.
Yeah, Jerry, January 11th, VOD will be at your place, frame by frame, the whole movie.
Yeah, we can do that. I'll be buying it that day. What day of the week is that?
I don't know.
Look it up.
Yeah. So
then we kind of get the rest of the house scene, right? You start seeing how much
Tuesday. That's what I thought.
Stuff's piled in there, which is pretty fun. But like you said, some of it's just so in your face.
I never saw the toaster the first time, and then the second time, I think I barely saw a glimpse of it. In the kitchen. It's just so much to look at, and you're just trying to pay attention to the movie.
Ray should have said
the Easter egg.
He stole my toaster.
He took the Ecto, his pack, the toaster.
Well, yeah, just to make you wonder. Still fucking that toaster.
I was sleeping with that
toaster. He was fucking the bowl of.
There's another one, a Ghostbusters 2 fleshlight. That's a toaster. So you can fuck a toaster.
Do you think Egon poured that slime into a fuck
pink
doll?
on the inside, and it comes with pink slime KY jelly,
bubblegum flavor.
I'm marketing this to everyone listening right now. If you want it, the crowdfunding will be up soon,
and we're gonna do silicone molds here,
and I'm gonna do it just like a HasLab. So if I get 100 people that say they're gonna buy one, I'll include something else. I know what that is. I don't know yet. I have to come up with another joke for that.
You'll need one of those scoopers to put the slime in or the lube in, but it also doubles as a butt plug. All the way.
Did that slime turn into toast?
That's the implication.
One of them is just a little Ghostbusters outfit for your penis.
No, the slime didn't turn into toast. The toast was already in there.
Then why isn't it covered in slime?
No,
Jerry. It would have looked like
just on one side of the toast had slime on it.
Don't eat the toast.
I got some jelly for your toast.
Would you still use that toaster after you poured slime into it?
Egon did.
He took it all the way to Oklahoma.
Slept with the slime. I don't think he cared.
Took it all the way to Oklahoma.
Special memories for him.
Does
okay?
it make...
Maybe it's the same model. Maybe it's not the same toaster.
I mean,
he took that fucking.
I don't want to hear anybody complain about a queef joke when Egon is
sign from Columbia University, which they didn't even own. All the way to Oklahoma.
He steals some weird. Yeah, go back and insert some like and just make it look like Egon's grabbing shit constantly from wherever he's at.
He's a klepto and we didn't know it.
I got one. Like, I already stole this one out of your pocket, basically.
Is that the same Crunch Bar from 1984?
It must be. He's in the glove box. So those are still good. Because, that car's been covered up for God knows how long. Wonder how old those Twinkies aren't.
Why didn't he keep up with the Ecto? Why did he take it there and abandoned it?
That and why didn't he drive it to the mountain? That's what I was wondering.
That would be too cool to see. You need to hold off that out till the end of the movie. That would be the reason.
Well, right, but
I know Ray was the mechanic, so maybe Egon couldn't keep up with it.
But he fixed it when he was dead to help Trevor. Right?
Anybody would pay $50. Certainly pay $75.
Not necessarily.
So where we at? They go to the diner. I think that's about where we're at. We finished the Janine scene, so they're at the diner.
It's you. That's the Shirelles.
Yep.
Well, that old lady waitress, does she look familiar to you? I feel like I've seen her before.
I don't know, but Trevor sees Lucky and fucking jumps.
You
out
watch
of
the
that
kind
car.
of porn I do, maybe.
I don't want to get into that right now. We've already been way off track. We're an hour in, and I don't know how this is gonna go.
Hour and a half.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to finish at this rate.
Oh, we'll
Trust
all
me.
finish.
Come on, we're already 5 minutes into this.
I was about to say, just got to grip it and add some more spit, and we'll definitely finish.
Jerry's gonna be the one eating the biscuit.
Jerry, what?
You're gonna be the one eating the biscuit.
No, hard pass. Hard pass.
So we're at Spinners.
Yeah, we're at Spinners,
which sounds like a Hooters for really petite girl waitresses.
I didn't think that at all. Okay, thank you.
I did. It's like on South. It's called raisins and it's little.
Now, if it was called tassels, I would probably think booby tassels. I'm not gonna lie there, but Spinners is
tassels.
Petite girls. That's what you call a petite girl spinner.
Well, that's what porn called.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I don't.
I see a
have a
common
reason
way
I can
used,
explain for knowing that, but
we all know you, Alec. Don't worry. We accept you for who
That's
you
where
are.
we learned it.
I like to insert random facts about porn into our podcast because everybody watches it and everybody's seen stuff But then there's some stuff that
everyone fucks like porn. No one fucks like they're supposed to by nature.
I was gonna say there's things out there though that people. This is a Ghostbusters Afterlife, welcome to the Frog Brothers podcast. There's things out.
If you're just joining us, we're discussing Ghostbusters.
Like, for
Afterlife.
example, sounding. Jerry, do you know what sounding is?
Is a porn term?
Yes.
I'm not familiar with that one.
No, never heard of it.
See, that's the thing. Like, that's a little more like rare. Like, if you're just browsing porn,
what's sounding?
You have to be looking at something slightly weird already, or a certain fetish of some sort. Like, maybe you're just into hands or hand jobs or something, and you come across this, right? And it is sticking a metal rod down your penis, your urethra, and then hitting it.
Oh,
yeah, because
the
vibrations.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's cool.
sounding.
Fuck, that's sounding.
Want to stick
It's
anything
like ringing a dinner bell.
That's sounding. So that is a porn term. That welcome to the Frog Brothers podcast.
If you're just joining us,
What you are about to see and hear is explicit.
Like that.
Oh, it makes me hurt.
However, things
thinking
like
about it.
Yeah, I did like the teenage cast members in there. They're like kind of trolling
you?
Trevor already.
Oh,
Not like that, you son of a bitch. Fucking hate you.
he also thought.
We need to do a take 2 of this podcast, but
Yeah, I also felt like they probably had more screen time too. That got.
yeah, that's the thing about Trevor's character is like I like his character. He just doesn't.
He didn't
enough.
have a lot to do at all either.
Yeah, well, I could see that he was playing second to Phoebe's, who's with podcast and podcast
Well, it's
with
like
Phoebe
it-
most of the time, so it makes sense that
And
he
it's like
gets just as much
Egon's
there.
his grandpa too, and it's like there
Yeah.
was a lot with that.
He didn't give a fuck. He was like, I'm trying to get some pussy.
Yeah,
Yeah, once he saw Lucky, you basically see where his trajectory is going. Like he's involved, but
is that a real name? Does she know?
But then also, Trevor, you can't have two geniuses. You can only have one genius with like Phoebe, right? So she's like the true like reincarnated Egon, so to speak. So you can't have two of those. So you got to make Trevor a lesser character for that reason. And he's a mechanic gearhead guy.
He could have just been cooler though, or something like that. Just
Yeah.
do more with him, because literally all he was concerned about was getting laid. Which I don't know. To be fair, is kind of like Venkman. So whatever.
yeah. I would have loved to have seen more from him, but in a way that would have made sense. And
Yeah,
with
for
the
sure.
story that we were presented, there wasn't a lot. You wouldn't.
Yeah, you didn't want to force feed it.
Yeah, I'm not saying you should have. I'm just saying that is definitely a
Well,
flaw.
maybe for the sequel, like they'll expand on Trevor more. I mean, he is a Spangler too.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a whatever his dad's last name is.
Not necessarily. I mean, I guess based off what we know, I'm assuming they're still married when they had Trevor and Phoebe. So yeah, they probably do have a different name, but
The dad didn't want a girl.
Or they hyphenated.
Apparently.
yeah, they could have hyphenated the kids' names.
Callie,
What would you-
Spangler, Hitler.
What would you?
I just sorry. I
I'd
just
like
the
to
most fucked up other name I could think of. Go
Hyphenate.
ahead.
Is that maybe why Trevor doesn't have a jumpsuit with Spangler on his
Well, that's what people are saying. Like
name tag?
one suit have the patch on it, and all the other ones were blank. Because
That's why I didn't understand. I was talking to you guys about it. I didn't understand that.
It's there for people
Yeah.
watching it because there's going to be kids watching it, so they don't want to confuse them all.
Wow, they're all Spanglers.
I didn't know podcast was a Spangler.
He looks Asian.
And
I listened to what was that? Somebody's podcast. I don't remember who it was at this point. Oh, it was the Hack the Movies, and they were like talking about how this movie is, basically not woke and stuff like that, and it's still bad. They like hated the movie, but like for the member berries reasons, basically. And yeah, I completely lost my point.
What?
I'm just it happens when I'm high. Just like I'll get into the thing and then I'll go into a backstory for
Yeah,
it for some
podcast.
reason, and then that gets me completely off track.
train's going along the track, and all of a sudden, boom! Looks around, he's like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah,
He's like Hunter S. Thompson. He's like, "We need golf shoes. We're in the bad country."
tell me the fucking golf shoes.
Exactly. Need some wrestling. All right. Yeah. So
So Trevor lies about his age.
which you don't find out about till later. Which whatever. I don't. That's typical teenager shit. So
And Lucky's like, I'm 19. I just committed
That's what
statutory rape.
people who have lied about their age say.
I mean, as teenagers, fucking girls. Girls do that all the time. And you're like, no. I guess guys do too. So I don't know. Nick does as well.
All right. This is the weirdest fucking podcast that's ever happened.
You said you had to get high first, so
I get high before every podcast. So to
true.
be fair, it's not my fault that this is extraordinarily more weird than normal because I'm doing the thing that I always do.
This is true.
Status quo. It's a little weird here.
Who's
but
running that restaurant? It's like chaos.
There is no manager.
There's an old lady.
All teenagers.
There's an old lady.
I wouldn't eat there the way they treat the meat.
Oh yeah.
And then they all like leave the store to go up to the mountain.
Which
later.
way did you mean, by the way?
No, we didn't even get to that yet.
How do they treat the meat? I'm curious. I'm curious as what.
When he goes, "Bleh," there's something wrong with the meat.
Like literally the meat, not some sexual term you're trying to turn this into.
I'm not.
The ground beef when he's like, "Bleh," and he's like handling the meat, even though I think he had gloves on. Like they're just dropping the meat wherever.
Yeah.
Well,
unfortunately, they don't pay enough for people who make your food to give a shit.
Yeah.
So, speaking as someone who's been in restaurants, I've seen at lots of restaurants. Just don't eat at a restaurant if you don't want other people around your food, because believe me, it's bad everywhere.
Well, the only thing in that doesn't make sense is they use frozen burger patties because we see Trevor counting them later. So obviously they let this one get raw enough at room temperature that they could mush it around like make it look like brains, whatever they're trying to do.
Or
yeah, that's true.
They probably set some out to be cooked.
No,
you cook them frozen. That's how you do it.
No.
Actually, to be clear,
well, they probably
speaking as I've cooked a lot of fucking burgers at restaurants. If it's frozen, you then probably are putting it then into a cooler to thaw, but still keeping it cool. And then when it's thaw enough, that's when you slap it on the grill because it cooks best as opposed to cooking it completely frozen. But a lot of places won't even freeze their stuff and they'll just keep it at that temperature.
Like Wendy's,
quick,
fresh, never frozen.
Yeah.
Either way, that was a whole another pointless tangent.
Yes, we're full of them tonight.
Short but pointless.
Exactly.
What happens immediately after the restaurant scene?
They go back home, and then
we're like 20 minutes into this movie,
and that's when he Ecto.
No, that's when Callie plays chess.
He first finds Ecto.
That's when Callie plays chess.
Not Callie. I mean Phoebe. That's when Phoebe's playing chess.
She doesn't play chess. She's lying there and it knocks it over.
Yeah, the chess table gets knocked over, and then she puts it all back up. But yeah, at the same time, Trevor goes out and like sees his
phone dies.
Ecto,
yeah, right.
Damn it, or whatever he says.
Yeah. So I was right.
And then they wake up and go to school the next morning. Well, they drop. I like the interaction in the car when.
Yeah, that you start.
Well, actually, first of all, one of my favorite lines we passed over, which was while they're at Spinners and Trevor gets out to do his thing. She's like, well, maybe we'll make a friend of our own.
Out of what?
Make him out of what? That's great. Yes. Phoebe's my favorite character from the movie for sure. With podcast being.
I'm team podcast.
I'm sorry. I don't know why you're obsessed with Asian boys, but
Phoebe reminds me of young
That's
Sheldon.
a whole other thing he's not ready to hear yet.
Phoebe's young Sheldon. The Big Bang Theory people.
Jesus Christ.
I know what you're talking about, Nick.
Young Sheldon.
I can't. My brain can't listen. It's just shutting down. I don't care if just shut it off. Like, that's what it's doing. Like,
my friend, don't be a jerk. Yeah, so you get the introduction to Mr. Gruberson, which is after she's played chess with the ghost in the next morning, right? She gets up before
it's just that it's just so cavalier when she does that because she mentions that she doesn't believe in ghosts and she's obviously not a person to get scared. You don't expect that, but she just kind of does. All right, this is what it is. Just going with it.
Scientific
question.
You know, she saw it happen, so she's like, "All right, well, we're gonna go with this."
No, that was later.
No, we're talking about
in the morning. She just makes one move because she sees that.
Yeah, but it knocked exactly. So she's going with it,
right?
Because it did move. So then they go to school. Trevor gets out of the car because he's embarrassed or whatever. But they have another good interaction in the car there because he's saying like, she's saying, "Don't be yourself" or whatever. Yeah, and exactly.
Well, she said strike up a conversation right away with somebody.
What's the joke? He's like, how are the jokes?
Yeah, what's the first joke?
What's that joke that she tells there? Is
that like, why can't you trust atoms because they make up everything?
Yeah, they make it. Yeah. And then he's just like,
"That's a great dad joke."
Nope, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, and then he goes over to Spinners because he's going to work.
And she drops her off there, has the interaction with Mr. Gruberson, which you already can see. He's like, oh, hey, there's a fucking hot woman in this town for once. And she's like, oh, there's a guy who I'd fuck him. Like,
Yeah.
That's the look she gives. Like, oh, not bad. Sexiest man alive. But okay. I got it. I'll hop on that disco stick.
He's not the sexiest man alive, but yeah.
I'll put that Neutrona wand on vibrate. And then
she'll play with his Hitachi wand.
Their whole interaction with the whole imagine the type of people they have teaching summer school here. Oh yeah, I know. I teach summer school here. They go into the classroom. That whole bit's pretty cool.
I assume that Gruberson's
podcast introduction,
not a local.
Well, yeah, like he's an implant. Like he lives there currently, I think, but he probably
Yeah,
is.
he's just there for the study, the seismic.
He's like
earthquakes and everything. Kind of shit.
And it looks like it's legit the first day of school because he's like, hey, I know you want to be here. So I think that works out well too.
But he knows that one kid's name.
Oh, booger.
So,
he's like, you guys.
But yeah, later they say it's June, so that would be about.
But he may have been teaching there already if he went there to research that. So
either way,
it's more just fill in the blanks there, right? You just have to put there what you need there for it to make sense.
And they apparently,
maybe he's a drifter. He's a serial killing drifter, and he was just in that town because it's in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
you could fill in that blank if you wanted. He's trying to fill in her blanks.
Mm-hmm.
Like to fill her void.
And you're a nice young person for a role model
to have. Yes.
So I guess they cut out the bullying stuff that we saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
With the
I completely forgot about
Doritos
that, right?
to the face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw the trailers after the movie, of course, and I was like picking up pretty quickly on some of the things that were not even lines.
They also
same
cut
scene, but different lines.
There's a scene later with her drawing, like she's drawing Gozer that's cut out too. I can't even do it with a straight face.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And she's like, you have been bullied your whole life. Sorry. Sorry. I think that's probably why he cut it out. He's like, no, this is giving me 2016 vibes. We can't do this.
So then they watch Cujo.
Yeah.
There's a really good movie about a
like Beethoven, but the kids get mauled. So.
You have the Beethoven reference there. Classic.
Ivan Reitman produced.
I think produced.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, he produced Beethoven.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Well, then obviously we get the next earthquake there happens, and then so Phoebe gets up and goes back into see what Gruberson's up to. And
yeah, I love all this scene too.
That's a great scene. Like really builds rapport between those two. They kind of get on that same wavelength.
And the geometry joke got the biggest, most consistent laugh across all my viewings.
It is. It's the delivery too, because her wink is what sells it, man.
That wink,
because it is an awkward ass wink, and it's just perfect.
Yeah.
And that long, slow blink of a wink.
It's like an over exaggerated blink.
So that really sets those characters up and like why they're on the same wavelength there, which I love how at odds.
But it also explains like all the shaking and the earthquakes, for the rest of the movie for everybody else. So it really kind of like sets that
so far as he's
well, he's
doing
explaining
this
what all it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Supernatural is afoot.
Exactly. I'm saying he's doing that for the audience.
Right.
Yeah.
Booger.
Did anyone think it was a natural earthquake?
I don't think the first trailer would have ever let us.
The characters definitely did.
Yeah. Everyone thought it was fracking.
They kept cutting out the no loud music line. I love that line.
But what do you mean they kept cutting out? Like
from the later trailers, like it was in the first trailer, I think. They cut it
out. Then they go back. Wait, no, that's just the first day of school.
Right. Whoa.
Then they go back for the second day of school. Is that why? I don't even know what happens next. I know they go back.
I'm trying to remember.
It's hard to say when you can't.
The next day is
seen it limited time.
The next day of school, they have the trap, right?
Yeah. Because she finds the trap. That's the thing. At night, that's when she has the interactions with Egon to find the trap.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're missing.
They continue.
Well, she gets home and she sees the chess piece move, so she moves another one, and then she sees it move right before her eyes.
Yeah, and it fucking
and knock the chess piece off.
Yep.
which I was like, damn, Egon, like that's kind of a dick move.
Yeah, and he like rips that drawer open later too.
Which I think kind of sets up his character.
Egon has no chill.
Yeah, it just sets up a little bit of like he's trying to get her attention, right? So it's like, I'm not going to play chess with you all night. I just want you to know I was here. Yeah, let's get to it.
So the PK goes off. She picks it up
and starts following it around, basically.
And then he illuminates lights down the hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
What's that?
No, just making a joke.
Goes on the fire pole, which was awesome. I didn't see.
Awesome.
Didn't you? One of you guys say
what?
The fire pole.
Oh, we
one of those things like
we skipped over stuff.
Skipped over what?
Fire pole. So I was talking to him.
She led out to the barn or to the lab.
No, not yet. They go downstairs,
and Callie's passed out drunk.
Yeah, and then Egon's chair under.
We're not doing a summary. Only bring something up if you have something to say.
Yeah, because that's
we're leading to the trap.
She gets the trap.
Just talk. Okay, so she finds.
Well,
the
I
trap.
thought it was important to point out that her mom's an alcoholic.
People have seen this. Point it out then. Point it out.
Just fucking
in my head canon.
No, that is the point. That is that she's kind of a bad mother. Definitely. Yeah. She's an alcoholic.
Until
from my
she finds out
that
her dad loved her.
She's become what her father was, right? That's kind of what that's portraying. Is like she's a shit parent because she didn't have a parent, so she's taking it out in this own way.
She drinks a lot. Let's just say that.
So
she
Egon
drinks a lot.
Leads her to the trap.
And then she gets the trap out and is like, oh, what's this? Cool. And then she brings it to school the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And then
maybe I mixed it too. I was thinking that was when she went to go to the lab. So,
trying to break it open.
That's just a trap.
Yeah. The lab's later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things that just it goes right at the fuck into it. I think there's an establishing shot showing that they're watching Child's Play at this point before all that, just so you don't have
right
to have
after
the beginning
part,
of class there.
Right
but
after,
I wanted to see that
right after the part. Chucky.
I just want more of the characters. So
yeah,
they're like, let's go. We're right to the trap. So now we're at the trap thing, and then Paul Rudd's gushing over the trap. We've all seen basically that entire scene, pretty much, except for
a lot.
The smoke has been altered now in the new trailers. It looks a little different.
Well, and they added the extra line: a ghost trap, a trap.
Yeah,
a ghost trap, which makes more sense in the context, right? So there's a few things they didn't completely give away. So I did appreciate.
Well,
that
I
was
mean,
a little bit longer scene.
It's a longer scene, but it's still the same scene. There's no way to describe it differently, I feel like. So same thing with the next following scene when they release it. We ended up seeing almost that entire scene.
Yeah,
I like how it doesn't work at first, and he taps it. That kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, but sure, we'll go with it because it's funny, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So then shit's real. You've seen a ghost. Currently, these characters have just seen some shit, and they're like, "What the fuck?
What did we let out?"
And I like that scene where at the end of it, basically, where Paul Rudd's like, "I'm liable."
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah, he's like,
"But you're an adult."
Yeah,
that makes me liable.
He also showed him the YouTube videos too.
Yeah, he showed them the Mac and Me clip.
Yeah,
that'd have been great.
Well, you also got the Jason Reitman inserting him and his mother into the film that was cut from the first one, so I thought that was a nice little
and
touch.
The sister too, wasn't it? Or was it just the mom? And
that was the mom was carrying Jason out in that one. I think his sister's younger, so don't quote me on that.
Yeah, she might not have been. Yeah.
Then we go back to the house when we start seeing the flirtation between
Gary
and Callie again, which is pretty funny.
I'm an escort.
I love the kids' reactions to that, right? You know, they're like,
his name is Gary Gruberson.
Yeah, the way she's looking at them when they're talking is like she's just suspect. She's just like,
yeah.
I think Mr. Gruberson's trying to bone your mom.
Damn right he is.
Yeah, like he's a single man down there.
Let's be honest. Any of us as single men down there would try to bang her. So you can't blame him for that. Same with Paul Rudd, for that matter. Anybody who swings that way would definitely also swing in the direction of his butthole or his penis, I guess.
I don't swing that way, but I might give it a shot.
Fuck it, if it's Paul Rudd, because then you'd have that story, right?
Fuck.
And what if you came out really like it and you're like, holy shit, I'm gay? Not even just like I'm gay, but like I'm bi or anything else, whatever else. It could be an experience for you. Paul Rudd,
that was just like...
this is a charity case. We need you to have sex with Nick. You need to find out Nick's sexuality, and Paul Rudd's the only way.
Paul Rudd might listen to this.
He is the sexiest man alive, so I'm assuming that
Paul Rudd got more than 30 seconds in. definitely not this far. There's no fucking way you got
It's-
an hour and 20 minutes into this shit.
Skip until he gets into the movie.
Right. Oh, hey, they're talking about me.
The Kansas City guys. Jerry and Alex got the shirt on
True.
and the hat.
I've always got it on.
Justin's got.
Right. I got the tat.
Oh, shots
No,
fired.
it's funny. It's just comedy. It's comedy. It's gold.
Alec wasn't around for the 85 World Series, so he didn't understand 2015.
Justin was a year fucking old. Actually, maybe barely, because the World Series has been what, April sometime?
I was 2 years old. I was there.
Over.
Yeah, usually in the fall.
Yeah, well, you were also alive during the Challenger disaster, Justin. So
I
maybe
know.
that was your fault.
I should have been on there.
And Columbine happened on your birthday, and I know that
Justin and I grew up during the Cold War. All right. We had to get under our desk for drills, just like Phoebe and them.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech,
For
they
what?
did that because they tried to do it on your birthday, and they thought they just mixed up the dates. That's all that was.
I mean,
Lots of terrible things done in your honor.
What'd you get under the desk for, Jerry?
I remember doing drills like a fire drill in elementary school where you go outside and all this stuff. We had to get under our desk.
That was tornado, wasn't it?
No, it was because of Cold War stuff going on in the 80s.
I remember the tornado drills where we had to get under the desk.
The tornadoes, we had to go out in the hallway and sit in like concrete where they had the
maybe it was
cinder block.
Just to kiss your ass goodbye, because
basically
you're basically just gonna.
No, the fire and brimstone rolls right over the desk.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Huh. So
this is in Texas at the time. I lived in Texas, and it was different.
Where are we at in this movie?
Gruberson and the mom are in the house.
Oh, let's move past that.
Jesus. Sorry.
Yeah, we just got to get moving.
Podcast and Phoebe are looking through the Terror Dog book thing.
Yeah, they see that. That's a nice little nod.
Yeah.
The only thing, it feels like they retconned the Gozer story a little bit because Gozer's interdimensional, and like in this, they specifically say that
Gozer's basically Satan in this.
Yeah, Gozer lives in inner Earth and like used to roam the Earth, and you're like, okay, well,
and
why
has
did
tortured devil souls and shit? You're
and
like,
climbing out of hell?
And it kind of,
I thought it was just a portal or something.
Kind of retcons the whole Louis Tully speech when he's Vince Clortho about like all the killings prior.
Here, there's another thing that people have noticed. Gozer doesn't take a form here. Yeah. Why not? Gozer takes a form every other time. Literally. That's what it's implied.
She wants you to choose the form.
She never
asked.
I know.
So she should have asked.
They've done some retconning, yeah.
You could have had the Ghostbusters versus Chucky in this universe, because Chucky exists in this universe, and somebody could have said Chucky or Cujo. They could have been the Ghostbusters versus Cujo in the finale.
Maybe. Oh, Clifford the Big Red Dog.
I've seen way too many posters of people who think they're clever pointing their gun proton.
I did that.
Oh, aren't you?
One had that building had the big painting on the side of the building, though. It was really
I'm
big.
cringing either way.
So it was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool movie.
I like Clifford.
You want lipstick on?
I got a big red dog for you. I'll slobber on you.
Right.
I can't review this movie.
So
apparently.
there's just so much.
Maybe she doesn't want to choose the form of destructor in such a remote location. She was going to take a bus to a big city.
So I'm just saying I would have liked to have seen it choose the form of a destructor and had another form.
Well, a lot of people thought it was going to be the terror dog.
Maybe she didn't get an opportunity to do that because obviously Zool got captured in the ghost trap and brought back, so she couldn't be her full self to ask that next question.
Just they decide not to do in this one when they shoot the guns at her and she just fucking disappears.
Yeah,
that's what I said. She didn't try to dodge them this time.
She didn't do that and then go choose the form of the destructor, which is I'm sure Jason Reitman watched Ghostbusters about a fucking 100 times to prepare for this movie. Clearly, because there's lots of them member bears.
Maybe he wasn't there when they filmed that scene.
Maybe he didn't rewatch the movie and didn't know how it. I don't know. I'm just being an ass, but
well, I mean,
it's one of those.
Maybe that's the one thing they wanted to do differently.
Well, we want it to be a smaller scale on a farm. I get it.
Maybe she's like, well, last time that didn't work, so I'm going to try a different approach.
Why didn't he just?
I thought she was going to be Pee Wee Herman.
He could have just been a giant slur again.
Yeah, that'd been cool.
That of a giant slur. So there's some changes there, right? And in the movie, like I said, I enjoyed this movie a lot, but that's just one of those things you're like, okay, again, lots of spots to fill in the blanks, but you do want some context around that because it just kind of feels like things are missing in a big way.
Are we at the Gozer battle? Or?
No, we're just kind of jumping around, I think, at this point. But let's go to Muncher.
Oh,
the
yeah.
introduction of Muncher and the proton pack when they fire it and all that. That's cool. I like seeing that scene. You see Podcast is already like naturally figuring things out because he knows technology, like he's figuring out the ecto goggles and shit. That's cool. She had previously gone down into the proton lab the night before. And that's where she did the proton pack and did the things. Oh, it's missing one of these shimmy bears. Oh,
whenever she went down, I think Justin, you said that is it the Gaga meter is in the background from Ghostbusters 2 somewhere in the lab because I didn't see it.
Table. I didn't see it.
I've yet to see it.
I don't think. But.
I've yet to see it, but it's.
I've seen a lot of people say it's there, and I haven't found it yet. But then again,
we'll turn up the brightness on your projector.
Yeah, we have to. Whenever we get it digitally, we can frame by frame it.
I mean, there's a lot of Easter eggs right when you go down there, and it's not like it's a bad thing.
But I mean, the pole is a little cheapy.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would Egon decide to do that?
You gotta climb up it.
I was about to say there is no exit that we see.
Yeah, but if there's stairs, why not just go down the stairs?
Well, there's obviously got to be an exit because you can't have all that giant shit fit down to the fucking fire pole hole.
It kind of makes sense to have the pole though if you need to get down there really quickly. Like,
why would he need to get down there really quick?
Yeah, but why not? Egon might be like, fuck it, like
it's
back memories.
Extraordinarily callbacky is all.
No, I'm not defending that. I'm just saying if you want to make it make sense in the universe.
He would never need to be rushing down there that much. He's not busting ghosts. He's trying to do one thing.
He doesn't know.
I know.
What's gonna happen.
Now you're just taking the fun out of the movie.
I'm sorry. Maybe it should have made a little more sense and done some things.
Yeah, but they're not making this movie obviously for us.
They're making it for people who want to go, ooh.
They didn't know that they were going to have the firehouse.
This whole movie is Leonardo DiCaprio going. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I remember that fire pole.
Does it still work?
Crunch bar in the fucking
Podcast
costume
because
he's never changed it.
At least it was a foil.
Wait, what are you talking about? Never changed it. That's just maybe a new crunch bar that he just had in the pocket.
Well,
because it had
the implication of it being a crunch bar is that you're assuming that Egon is obsessed with crunch bars or obsessed with Twinkies just because he ate one in a movie once he ate one 35 years ago. So now that's all he eats is crunch bars, Twinkies, and cheese.
No, but we all know that Egon likes the junk food. He likes Cheez-Its, and why not? What's his name? Bankman knew he had his favorite candy was Crunch Bar, and he had one for him anyway. So, like, who's to say that Bankman didn't already know that?
I mean, I get it. It's fun to see it, but
the Crunch Bar is fine. I'm just saying, but they literally only put the foods from there in there, which again, it's fine. But it is literally just, as we were saying, member berries
and popcorn too. You found the popcorn.
Right? It's a cumulative thing. It's just all of them combined.
There's too much.
It's implied though.
I agree with that. There's a little overkill with the member berries, but it's also kind of fun, like fan service, like brings a smile to your face when you're watching it.
It didn't to me because it was taking me out of it.
The quotes bother me the most. Like
that one.
No, I enjoyed it. I smiled every time I saw a little nod to the 84 movie.
Fine because it had an aluminum wrapper on it, like they used to. It used to be wrapped in aluminum foil and have a paper wrapper on it. That's what it was.
So it was an old Crunch Bar.
Yeah. Yes. So it looks like it just sat in that jumpsuit since he put it in there. Right, and that was his jumpsuit.
He stole those jumpsuits. That were his. So he didn't, and then never put them on.
He didn't eat the Crunch Bar Peter gave him,
or he never unzipped that pocket again.
Yeah.
Just it's a pointless little detail. It's fine. The Crunch Bar is not as bad as the Twinkies because they're fresh looking and shit.
Why do you have a pair of glasses in there?
But Twinkies can last like through a Great Depression and nuclear holocaust, right? That's what they're known for. So
cockroaches.
I don't know.
And cockroaches. So like, who's to say that?
Just because a Family Guy episode said something doesn't mean it's true.
What do you mean?
About Twinkies?
That's hard science.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think there's just enough. There's enough in there. The first time I watched it, I wasn't as bothered by the member berries. It was more like some of the other questions that I had because I had the deeper questions. I was like, okay, this is great, but there's still some things here that I would like to see worked out. But to your point, like,
it's all those. That's weird. We're the opposite then, because I can ignore all those little things because it's a movie. But then the things that are just like, remember the other movie? That's the things that bother me because there's so much of them. But
if you
and
look
including
on,
the villain.
but if you look on
that's
Facebook,
all that is.
Seems like most people that's what they want.
Well, in the Ghostbusters fan community, but these people,
I know.
they're too blind to
That's why
even
they
see
think critics are full
any
of shit.
flaws in this. Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not people who study film for the most part. And I'm not.
Maybe
even
maybe they're making it very similar to the 84 to guarantee success, because 84 is obviously the best, in a lot of people's minds, to set the table in order to launch a whole universe of Ghostbusters through Ghost Corps, to then have all additional ancillary stories. But they have to have that one film to kind of,
I get that, right?
Get it started.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You got to reinvigorate the fan base.
No, I mean,
but
as long as this is it, because this is
the lay people that aren't as nerdy as us, that know all the details, the people that are gonna, get it up to $115 million over the, last couple of weeks. So to give them the green light to go ahead and really expand the franchise.
I'm saying if you do it,
you got to tap into that.
The only thing that matters if they're going to make another one or not is if it makes money in the box office. It has nothing to do with any of the contents in the movie itself.
That's why I'm saying exactly. That's why I'm saying they did a lot of fan service to the 84 movie to
fan service
guarantee that,
because then the money would have been spent. So that doesn't make sense to shove it down my throat for an hour, 2 hours.
It's overdone.
That's all I'm saying. Yes, it's overdone. Cut it in half. The amount of
I agree with that.
Biggest problem with the movie is that Gozer's the villain again, and
I don't feel like they did it.
All right.
They did something different enough with her if they were going to bring her back.
But if we're going to talk about Gozer, so several things here. When we get to the original Ghostbusters coming back, right?
They do.
Yeah. When they cross the streams.
Yeah, they
all fucking forgot, because and this was a scene that kind of really
they didn't say, hey kids, get the hell out of here. We're going to cross the stream.
Why would you cross the streams? There's no
cross the stream.
They reversed the portal. They didn't shoot Gozer with it.
Yeah, they didn't. There's no portal to reverse, right? So all that's going to do is what?
Yeah.
Nothing. So they immediately cross the streams,
explosion that kills
and
the
it
kids.
doesn't. And it doesn't cause that explosion.
Kills the kids.
What would happen?
Right, which when you think of the first movie, right, that explosion would have killed everyone on the rooftop. Ha ha ha! That's half the joke of it, right? But that was one of those things. Then she uncrosses streams. You're like, well, whatever, okay. And then she lassos them and stuff. So
not like it was doing.
They didn't know what to do. They just like, fuck it. This worked last time. Let's try it again.
Manipulating the streams like that, like Muncher.
Maybe.
I mean, I felt
just saying, like,
I think it makes.
I don't think they had in the heat of the moment, you would think like, hey, crossing the streams worked last time, even though it was towards a portal. Why not at least try it? Because what else are you going to do in this moment? I mean, just zap her and try to bring her into a trap? That's not going to work.
It just seemed lazy.
So they had to do something.
They are so thoughtful with their plans and how everything works in the other movies. And this one, they just show up and are like, blast it, blah, blah, blah. Like it's the beginning of Ghostbusters 1 or some shit. Get her.
And the only way that makes sense to me is that without Egon there to like guide them, is it that,
Ray's not a moron though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, you still see that Ray's still afraid to say, "Are you a god?" Yes, and then that speech that he had, I fucking hated. Ducks Unlimited.
Remember?
That was cringe. That was the fucking worst dialogue in the movie.
I don't even understand it.
Gozer saying, "Are you a god?" while being a member berry.
I thought they would not do that.
It is
somehow I thought
it's one of the more tolerable things at first, but then the whole interaction with them is very like everybody could have, like if a child saw Ghostbusters and they're like, write this scene, this is what the child would have wrote, or any fucking person.
I just thought all
it shocked me at all. It was kind of, it made me cringe a little bit too.
I thought all the
how
stuff
they reacted
with the old
to Gozer,
guys was
but most of it. But Bill Murray was kind of he just didn't have enough going on,
Well, he makes anything funny, I think.
Yeah.
No, Bill was
he raises it up for sure.
Bill brought a lot to it, right? It really felt kind of like that Ghostbusters 2, kind of like, hey, I'm fine.
Well, yeah, clearly it's his speech against
when he was
like how he's berating Vigo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And it didn't seem like they had a lot for him planned out for there, and then Ray was just underwhelming there at the end. Like that Ducks.
He had all his lines earlier, basically.
Yeah. Didn't he, Bill ad-lib that one line about blasting him that Jason said in an interview with Savage, Adam Savage, like
on 2,
on 3,
go on 2, yeah.
going to on three or go on two blaster, and then is it 1 2?
It was on first.
Off
What?
the cuff.
But yeah, that's what they said that he ad-libbed that.
Yeah,
which is pretty good line.
Yeah, which is kind of.
So the other thing, right, that they don't really explain is all these original Ghostbusters come back full gear, full regalia, as everyone loves to say, with packs. And so I get that, there's probably they made more packs as time went on.
Ray said that Egon only took his pack, but he took all the traps.
Okay, well, that's fine.
But Ray also said the firehouse with a Starbucks, so who can trust him?
Maybe that was a joke.
Well, it's a fucking poor
It doesn't
joke.
appear like it was ever a Starbucks.
No, it doesn't.
But I think the credit scene was an afterthought too.
Exactly.
But they could have trimmed the conversation.
100%.
Well, they could have just redubbed it or changed that spot, right? Because that would have made sense. As like I heard it's a Starbucks, not it is a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's got to know that Winston is paying his rent.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Some of that final act just seemed a bit rushed. Now it's really cool, like obviously because you get to see Spangler come and help.
I am just critiquing it
It's visually
as honestly
really
as
cool.
possible.
Yeah.
Because
I don't want to come back and like
fair and unbalanced, like Fox
I
News.
am obviously a fan of the movie, and I'm going to rewatch the shit out of it, just like I
We
did
already have.
2016, Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters. But it doesn't mean there's not things to critique in
We're
it.
not just going to give it a pass.
Yeah, we're not. I'm not going to blow smoke up its fucking asshole and tell you it's the best movie ever and it's everything that a Ghostbusters sequel should be, because it's kind of not. It's
Well,
about 70% of what a Ghostbusters movie.
People
should
that
be,
say
maybe.
they've been waiting 30 years for this movie, like you've been waiting 30 years for a movie where the guys are in 10 minutes of it and little kids are Ghostbusters.
Well, they're just lying. There's a lot.
They're just that's not the point. They're waiting for a Ghostbusters, a proper sequel to the '89 movie, and well, in '84, of course, like a proper third movie. That's what they're waiting for.
But they're never going to get that.
This is like a spinoff. This isn't like
Pretty
that's why
much.
people you shouldn't call it Ghostbusters 3 because it's
Exactly. It doesn't really.
How is it a spinoff? I mean, I see because the guys aren't.
a soft
It's
reboot, whatever you want to call it. We're setting up a new cast. It's
Well,
like
but it's
you have-
weird movie.
Tonally and everything too. Like
it's like
it's
when you
trying to
have
replicate
one of those,
it, but it's
you have one of those backdoor pilots from some sitcom, so some of the characters are in it. And
Like I said, overall I loved it, but there's things like there that the crossing the streams thing kind of
that
was
bugged
annoying,
me.
and
This
then
came out of
you don't
nowhere.
ever see how the guys get there, which it doesn't really matter. We know that they got there, but it's still kind of one of those things.
Winston's
You're in the
got
middle of
echo
nowhere,
jet.
so there needs to be something just to kind of have some context around that.
Yeah.
Because you don't see any headlights, so you don't see any of that. Like, hey, where the hell is this coming
It's
from?
not like
right?
they're in New York City.
There's
where
a
they
lot of
could have
lights
just showed
going on.
up. So
There's
yeah.
a lot of lights and sounds going on. So
Yeah, I mean, there's that, and then
like I always said,
Well, and all the cloud and everything going around the barn and the house, like the whole demonic theme going. Like I'm sure, they're like, oh yeah, it's over there.
Now, the mini puffs were another thing that you're like, well, how do those make sense? Well, with the negative,
people are really divisive about that.
with the energy coming out, to me, I take that as the residual of the last manifestation of Gozer, right? We've talked about.
I
how
think it's
there's
just a
other times.
coincidence.
I think it
Stay Puft
is.
Marshmallows got
If we want to speak
possessed.
logically, there is no actual explanation for it. However you want to explain it to yourself, feel free, but I don't give a fuck because I know the truth, which is that Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan put it in there because it's the Stay Puft Marshmallow fucking man. And they're like, here, Ghostbusters.
Well,
We're
yeah,
not giving you Slimer, though,
But if you want it to make sense, it's
which
just
is
a
fine.
coincidence.
I don't want Slimer. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
These marshmallows came to life. They used the appearance of the mascot. It's just coincidence. It's not because they're little versions of Gozer or anything like that.
Well, it doesn't make sense why marshmallows are coming to life as opposed to any other fucking foods.
No, but I mean, if you want it to make
Why isn't
sense,
the grapefruit coming to life and
if you
being
want it to
mini
make sense as much as
fruits?
you possibly can, that's how you have to look at it.
I don't. I'm saying, yeah, I get that.
But don't think it's little Gozers or anything.
I
like
didn't
that.
say it's little.
Well,
Not you. I'm just other
It's-
people. I've seen.
Oh yeah, I just meant it's like that spiritual vibe that Gozer already had manifested as the Stay Puft, so it
You
makes
can look at
sense
it that way.
yeah,
too.
you could say psychic kinetic energy or whatever, residual energy from the Manhattan
You
Cross.
should look at it that way.
But
too.
Yeah, and that's what makes sense to me. That's just my personal take on it. I thought they were pretty fun. I did think it was a little overdone that podcast was covered in marshmallow fluff at the end. And then Ray's talking
remember how
to
at the
him.
end of Ghostbusters are covered
there
in
must have been a
shaving
lot
cream?
of little mini puffs in there.
And I don't know about you,
remember that?
man, but I love Dan Aykroyd, but Dan Aykroyd was so underwhelming at the end of this movie. Like when he's talking to him,
damned.
he's like, "Oh, your podcast," and you're like, "Oh, that's such a forced line." Like, I get that Ray may be the type of weirdo to listen to someone's random podcast like that, but that
You
wasn't
really found your voice in episode 46.
Yeah, to make that specific
that
callback,
was
it was
all right.
that was just too much.
I thought it was all right. I mean, it kind of full circle the thing that Logan said earlier in the movie, you know, and it's just kind of like a kind of moment.
I did.
Bad, but
Jason and Gil were a little too aware of children when they wrote this, keeping them in mind a little too much with terms of keeping things simple and easy to understand because of shit like that.
Yeah, you want to grow this to the next generation, right? I'm obviously sure.
But that's the thing is, the first Ghostbusters was not made for kids. That was incidental.
Yeah, it was. Really was.
Completely 100%
And they
incidental.
loved it anyway, so why make the sequels more childish?
Exactly.
It's
Oh, you got the
interesting.
cartoon. Let the kids watch the cartoon and make the movies for the adults.
No, because then they're just going to make the movie more like the cartoon.
No, I will say that I really loved what they did with Egon and how we kind of see his character. Because at first I was like, "You're really gonna? I don't want to see a ghost Egon."
If
And
it didn't
then-
look good, it would have been really
once we really put together that the lamps are ghosts and that's clearly Egon's ghost interacting with them, I knew we were going to see an embodiment of Egon in some form at the end of the movie. I just didn't expect it to be like this. I expected it to be more like
I wasn't sure.
his invisible ghost. I didn't expect us to see him still, but I expected interaction 100% and reconciliation at the end, but just not in the fashion that we got it.
And one thing, like one preconceived notion I had from the trailers was that I thought Egon had been dead for a little while.
Yeah, you assumed he had died like
not a
while
week ago, or
yeah,
2 weeks.
Yeah,
or
not a
whatever
week
it was.
ago, right? Because I figured, like,
I think it's a week.
I figured they'd had this house, but they were just never had the need to go to it, or were so desperate to
Yeah, 'cause
not leave.
I don't think that legal shit works that fast. But
I mean, they still probably would have gone down there whether they missed the service.
Yeah, somebody's got to go down there.
Yeah. So it's just those things you have to suspend disbelief a lot, right? And for the average moviegoer, they're not going to look at it any of this the way we are. Just they're there to have fun with it and like, oh, that's kind of like this or that. A lot of people may not even rewatch the originals to go to see this. You really honestly don't need.
I listened to that full podcast when they were tearing this movie apart for Hack the Movies, and I share their opinion with some stuff and some stuff not. They have one of their most popular episodes is reviewing Ghostbusters 2, and they trash it.
Yeah.
And I agree with their reasons for hating Ghostbusters 2, but I still like the movie. I can think it's not a great movie and still have a different personal opinion than my critical opinion.
Yes.
And that's the same way with Ghostbusters Afterlife. 100%. I love it. I'm going to rewatch this movie more than other movies that I think are better
but
movies.
is Ghostbusters 2
but
bad on its own, or just compared to the original? Like, what if Ghostbusters 2 was the first?
It's not. It's references the first one entirely too much.
No, but I mean, like, is it bad on its own or just bad compared to the original?
It doesn't matter to me.
Oh,
I don't know.
And my Ghostbusters is great. Ghostbusters 2 is good. Ghostbusters Afterlife is good.
Critiquing things, yes. Ghostbusters Afterlife as a film, I still don't know how to rank it, whether or not it's above or it's on the same level as Ghostbusters 2 for me right now. Ghostbusters and then Ghostbusters 2 and Afterlife in 2016.
I think I'd rather watch
bottom,
Ghostbusters 2 just because the guys. But.
Well, that's the thing is at this point, Ghostbusters 2 and Ghostbusters are so baked into my brain that I can't. It has been so hard until the last year or two that I've actually realized I have problems with Ghostbusters 2, and I'm 30. And I've been watching it. I don't remember watching it for the first time, like I said. So it's like one of those things where I've just now realized they're just repeating all of the same fucking beats with a little bit of new stuff in there.
And that's 80 sequels, though.
And I feel that, though, because...
But that doesn't mean it's an excuse.
No, but...
Though all those other 80s sequels are just as trash, too.
Yeah.
For me personally, like when I got Ghostbusters on DVD and fell in love with the movie, and I'd seen it, hadn't watched it in forever, and then I realized all the adult jokes are in there when I was 10 or 11. I was like, oh man, can't believe my parents let me watch this. Like all the
Ghostbusters too.
No, Ghostbusters, all the jokes that were in there, because I had.
Well, you don't get them when you're a kid.
Yeah, and so
I didn't even know it was a comedy when I was a kid.
When I got back into that,
this is serious.
Didn't watch Ghostbusters 2 a lot, even though I loved that and watched the hell out of it as a child, right? It took a while before I was like, okay, I'll start getting back into that one, because the first one is just basically, it's just magic in the bottle. This recaptures some of that. I thought it was a good tribute to Egon. I thought most of that worked out pretty well. I did like how we see that. It again, the cheesy moments of when Egon disappears into the stars and then you see him turn into the No Ghost logo and all that.
That's a little too much. Well, it does seem a little bit like Casper. Oh, his unfinished business is finished now. He can go.
They should just had him
He's no
fade
longer a
away, not
ghost.
go up into the sky. Maybe.
Or they should have trapped him because it would
So
make
I
me
said
laugh.
Peter just zaps him. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, he's like, you knew this was coming, Pete. Spider-Man.
Oh man.
And everyone's like, well, how did he not get trapped? Well, first of all, I don't think the Ghostbusters
wasn't.
were standing over the traps.
No.
And if you've ever seen a
It's-
ghost be trapped before, you've got
That's
to be
one of
over
those
it.
fucking questions where it's like, did you watch? I mean, explain why you
Yeah.
ask, and then like 50 people ask the same question.
I've seen people like I saw somebody draw artwork of the 4 Busters standing next to each other, and they just didn't draw Phoebe in there. But Egon has his own pack on. I'm like, that's not what happened. Did you watch the movie?
It's what happened in their head.
Basically.
That's why the movie's so perfect.
In their head, Egon off camera slapped Phoebe in the face and took her proton packs. Like, bitch,
Not a toy.
only men can do this.
No,
God.
not a toy.
Please don't make a quote of that. That's going to be Alex going to get internet famous to be the meme.
Right. No, they would come back and listen to this and realize that
That's not the case.
I'm the sounding master.
That's true. Jerry, what's your overall thought on it? I mean,
What was your least favorite part?
yeah, I guess that. What's your biggest gripe in this movie? I mean, I kind of said mine.
Mine's Gozer. Just
Uh,
trail or anything, but just we'll get to that later.
biggest gripe, I think, probably heavy on the member berries, like you said. Like, I love all the nods, and even like to real Ghostbusters with or at least the Kenner line with the eyeball ghost and everything.
That's less of a member berry because that's at least out of real Ghostbusters. If they're
Right. No, what I'm saying is like that kind of stuff. Like I liked a lot more because it was a cool little like nod to something obscure that's still in the Ghostbusters universe, but like a little fan service at the same time. I really like that. But then it was heavy on a lot of the member berry stuff on just, you name it. But I'm trying to remember what my initial thought the plot was going to be, because I skipped all the trailer. I saw the first trailer because I thought the movie was going to be coming out like 2 years earlier, right? But
Sandor Mine and the Terror Dog arm. I knew what the plot was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Or
was
maybe
pretty
hope
easy.
that it was going to be something
I
different.
hoped it was going to be more different than it was, but what are you going to do?
Member
some
berries
more-
don't bother me as much if they make sense. If
I
they-
honestly didn't think Gozer was going to be a part of this movie at all. Like I thought it was going to be more of an origin story with Evo and a new ghost of some kind of problem because of Evo and the shit he was doing. I never thought Gozer was going to be a part of it. But that's also because I skipped everything, didn't have any hints. So I was a little bit more surprised
by Gozer, but I don't know.
Yeah,
if
because
that would
the
have helped
trailer
me or if
showed
I'd have
the
been
top
more
of her
pissed.
head. So
At least
well, I saw that later and people were,
Yeah.
so it makes sense that people knew that beforehand if
I
they saw the trailers.
I knew because helped me adjust my expectations with things like seeing the mini pups ahead of time. As if I had seen those in the theater for the first time, I probably would have been like, I fucking hate this movie. Because the first time I saw him, I was like, I had this gut sinking feeling like, oh God, this is gonna suck dick. This is fucking trash.
you thought the whole movie would be like cutesy, cartoony, or
Just call back. I thought they'd put Slimer in it. I thought we'd see Louis Tully at that point. I was like, fuck it. They're just gonna
knew
go
they were
everything,
gonna-
man. They're just gonna fucking
I see that point, but for me, like I've been just so ecstatic waiting for a proper sequel since Ghostbusters 2 that I didn't really care, to be honest. Like I just wanted something that was in the same universe as those two movies. And I was fine with it, but I also didn't have the expectation that could be just a bunch of fan service and a bunch of throwback callbacks and not a real story in itself.
I think I had a little too much faith in Jason Reitman. So I had a higher expectation.
I was thinking that when you two
because
guys
of
were telling me to trust Jason Reitman.
because of his other movies. Like if you've seen Up in the Air or Juno, there's honestly those movies make me feel more than this movie. And that's weird to say. Anybody else would be like, this movie made me cry. And I did cry during this movie during the credits, but only the first time. The second viewing, third viewing, there's no crying for me.
Though. I mean, this is a comedy series, and
right,
there's never any depth really to these characters. And
those movies were definitely meant for adults that were.
That's a good point
as well.
This
Juno's for teenagers, but
this is a no feels series before now.
Also, yeah, that's a good point.
So I guess the thing for me is that really works in this is the new characters. When you brought back the old cast, that's really what kind of threw it off for me. Like, yeah, it was fun to see them catching ghosts. But here's a hot take. If they do any other sequels to this, and I may have mentioned this before, I don't want to see Bill Murray catch a ghost. I'd rather just see Bill Murray be funny off screen running the business.
Here's the thing. If anybody listening to this out there expects this to go forward with Bill, Dan, and Ernie busting ghosts, you are fucking sorely mistaken.
You're never seeing Bill again.
Maybe you'll see a lot of Ernie Hudson.
Ernie's gonna be in it. I bet Dan.
Ernie's gonna be in it for sure. I think he loves it so much that
he's still
not busting.
Not gonna have the role that people think. Well, just like Paul Rudd.
No, that's fine.
Never gonna bust a ghost, and I don't want to see him.
And I don't want to see Paul Rudd bust a ghost either. I get it.
Come on.
But Dan Aykroyd's gonna be involved. It's his baby. Ernie Hudson will do videos for you in a Ghostbusters jumpsuit. I mean, he's committed to the franchise. I mean, he still goes to Comic-Cons and things of that nature. He participates
with that because otherwise he should have been in this movie more because he's already active. If anything, he's going to get older and more out of shape, which Ernie Hudson's in great shape. Let's just comment on that. But yes, he is. He is sex appeal.
I think
I was going to make a joke about how he probably has a big dick, but that's the joke right there.
Stereotype.
So let's move. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's only if it's stereotyped.
That's
if
racist.
You say now it's racist from you.
Yeah, well, country bumpkin over here.
What?
I was just saying
You're
his
from middle of
personality
nowhere,
type.
Missouri.
I mean, Dan Aykroyd could have a big fucking knee knocker too. You never know.
Knee knocker.
I just came up with that, but I think that's a perfect.
I mean, I wish the guys were involved more than just at the end. I was hoping like it'd be a little bit more of a involvement from them to pass the torch on and like mentor the next set of Ghostbusters. That's what I thought the kind of story was going to go towards originally. Obviously, that's not what happened.
Kids had to save the guys, I think, because you kind of take away from their being the hero of the movie.
Well, yeah, but they all team up and work together is why that works, though. So, I mean, I'm not.
But at least had some part of it where they're saving them, I think.
Yeah. Like Trevor got his redemption moment when he blasts the trap capacitor, right?
For some reason, he knows to do that, and for some reason, it works.
Yeah. Well, you're just.
That's just.
Well, it was set up with Phoebe beforehand about explain what a capacitor was.
They wouldn't even needed the guys. They would have defeated Gozer before the guys even got there.
True. I mean, overall,
things happen for a reason because Jason wrote them that way, and Gil. Basically, that's what it boils down to. They wanted you to have this exact experience the way you did. So
luckily, Vinz and Zool don't have to mate again after they switch bodies.
Yeah, luckily, because that was immediately off-putting and weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like.
I was like, oh no, they don't have to have sex now, do they?
In front of everyone?
Well, she immediately transforms into the Zool terror dog. So, okay, that's fine.
Loophole, I guess.
Technically.
Good for them. Good for Gozer. What about the mid-credit scene?
Mid-credit scene was perfect. I thought that was a great thing, a great callback. It was funny. And then like
it's funny, Sigourney Weaver's name comes up on the credits before she appears. I was like, oh yeah, she's supposed to be in this.
Yeah,
exactly. That's how I felt. I was like, oh shit, I forgot about Sigourney. And then bam.
Again, I like it. But critically, it is another fucking member berry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like there is no reason
they would not be fucking with that.
They wouldn't
thing.
be doing this. Exactly.
It's
funny.
Didn't Columbia University?
Yeah, but it's in the credits. Who gives a shit at this point? It's not part of the movie, really. It's in the credits. It's just a little like tie off that Bill Murray's right into the sunset. He married Sigourney, and they can close that book.
I'm just saying, I'm critiquing this, and that is a big.
Yeah, but it's in the credits. This is different. I feel this is not like in the main story / movie.
Again, it's
I'll give you that, Jerry.
I won't, because the ending is one of the most talked about things. The end, and by the ending, I mean at the firehouse with Ernie Hudson. So anything between that and the movie still counts. It's still filmed. They still showed it.
Well, at least from the viewpoint of the filmmakers, maybe they didn't think.
What works for me on that is assuming that takes place after they've gone to help him out and they're reminiscing and like somehow he still has this thing because
I would say chronologically it would take place after.
Yeah, I would say that, but
maybe like that's just them reminiscing on the old Ghostbusters. Like had they had some dialogue or like, hey, remember this or that, or I remember doing this. Like to have some more expose around Venkman processing Spangler's Lost maybe would have made it a little bit better. I don't know.
I'm okay. I'm just thinking you could have shown them doing something else. That's all.
Well, everyone wanted to see Oscar though.
Like having dinner with Oscar.
I know, man.
Thank God. I had lots of credit for not doing that garbage because that could have really just.
That was funny when I realized
God,
that I'm
yes.
friends with the guy that played Oscar, the surviving guy that played on Facebook. And he's like, no, it references the Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, I saw that.
You really want to be in that movie, don't you? He'll be in the next one.
He hasn't watched the movie very much.
Yeah.
Or Ghost. He's probably only seen Ghostbusters 2, you know? Not seen Ghostbusters.
He watches
like once.
Ghostbusters 2 like every other day.
All right.
There's still Ghostbusters 2 references, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people.
It is still largely ignored, though.
Well, it doesn't carry the story in this one, right?
Right.
Going
Because
back to
it's
the original.
member bearing from the first
I
movie. not the
wanted a
second.
gray suit in Egon's closet.
I wanted an Ecto 1A door sitting in the barn.
How hard would it
because
have been
he would
to
have
put a gray
stolen
suit
both
in there?
cars somehow.
But there was only one car. We already know this. We're in down this path.
That's not confirmed.
That's a whole nother fucking debate that
Doesn't
I
make sense. Why would they go back to less?
What is that?
advanced
And It's
equipment
Always
on the roof?
Sunny. Either way, I don't give a shit.
Because they realized it didn't work. It was not, and he couldn't take it all the way to Oklahoma. That's why.
That's one of those
Aerodynamics.
With it on screen, it
cars,
doesn't
man.
really matter.
They were
Yeah.
too busy. They needed 2 cars. In.
They'll decanonize both our opinions.
Where's 1B?
They'll retcon all of our opinions on this.
Where's one?
They will.
It's not on that shirt. Okay.
Where's the rookie?
He's in Chicago. Yeah.
Wasn't he there with Callie? Is he Callie?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Paul Rudd's playing the rookie. We never knew his name. Not canonically.
right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I gotta use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Uh,
Are you guys gonna go for another hour, or what are we doing here?
Yeah, we'll start.
well, go ahead and poop, Jerry.
We're going to wind down here.
No.
Just trying to finish up with the final
We haven't
thoughts here.
talked about the final scene yet.
I know.
into that.
I really gotta go to the restroom. I've been waiting.
Go poop.
Be right back.
The final scene where you see the old throwback to the World's Fair coin in Egon and Janine.
So that scene's canon now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool though.
It's fine.
You didn't expect it, I think.
I expected something, but not that. Yeah.
Like a deleted scene.
I expected them to use some deleted footage, yes, and some more of an aspect other than what we had seen. But I didn't, like when I was waiting for it, I wasn't expecting it at that point, no.
But I thought that worked okay. They had to do that though for that coin to make sense. For the other scene they go to where she's kind of spinning it as she's waiting in the lobby for Winston.
But they
Well, she didn't have to have the
Yeah,
coin
that's what I
there.
said. They
They
didn't
could
have
just cut the fucking coin out, cut the beginning of that scene. You don't need the other one. Jason Reitman was looking for anything to grasp upon in these deleted scenes that he could use and make
Sentimental.
something out of that. Yeah. And that's not a bad way to do it. So
No,
props
I
to him
totally
on,
get
on
it,
that.
yeah.
I
get
kind of
that.
like that joke too, Janine, with the 2 coins.
That's
She makes
okay,
a
I've
big
got
deal
another
about
one.
it being special. And then now
Yeah.
I got 2 of them.
But the other thing for me though is that just showed you that Egon was willing to die for the cause, because he goes up there and says we may not be coming back. So the fact that he died for this same cause later on is kind of like the way to bring some full closure to his character.
Yeah.
After you've already seen the closure on his character, right? It just reiterates that he knew they could die up there.
Yeah.
Egon took it seriously.
And then we finally get the fucking Winston speech. You know, like,
Oh God.
I hate it so much. I loved
We had the
I
tools.
loved
we had the
everything
talent.
except you had to say those 2 lines in the same sentence. I was
Like
just-
he
I
remembers
was
the
just
words
looking
that he
for
said
a
35 years ago.
steady paycheck. But
Yeah.
I had the tools and the talent. I'm like, no, you wouldn't say that.
Hey, audience. Do you remember Ghostbusters? Do you remember watching? Do you guys remember Ghostbusters? How much Ghostbusters do you remember?
They looked through the Facebook groups and they're like, what do they quote the most?
no, and it's to me,
Are you a god?
they should have
Tools
had
and
him.
the talent.
No, they should have had him misquote the lines. That way it was like kind of his motto that he's always been saying for that to work, but him saying derivative of exactly what he said.
Remember when Ray misquotes the Bible verse chapter or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
It would have been funny if he had the wrong number on tattooed on his
Or
arm.
or if he just didn't have that tattoo, because that also took me out of it. It took me out of it.
That tattoo was stupid as fuck. I don't see Ray tattooing that on his arm.
He would not have a Bible verse tattooed
because that makes him as crazy as he says Egon is.
Exactly. For one, if he has that tattoo, he believes in
because
the end of the world. So he should have believed Egon.
Did Egon tattoo that on his arm when he passed out? Or
that he basically doesn't believe in God in the first movie. Like
never met him.
Exactly. Which is religious. That is an implied thing that he doesn't
Winston
believe in God.
had that as a tattoo. Might make sense.
Yeah. Maybe. Or even if no one did.
Right.
That'd be even better. Preferable even. Jerry, did you freeze on us?
That was what's that?
We did first.
He's good.
What's that?
Oh, you're a lot
of pros for
I was gonna say yeah, that's one thing that kind of took me out was that Ray did not believe Egon when he was talking about the revelation that he has tattooed on his arm. I was like, you feel so strongly about it to tattoo it. Why wouldn't you believe Egon when he's talking about what was going to happen?
Yeah, and not showing it happen, it's not going to make sense to him.
Well, the interesting thing, everyone's argument on the internet is, well, bands break up. I get that, right? You may not have this long successful, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't hire somebody else if needed. But yeah, it seemed a bit off, but who's to say that there's something in the background there that, makes that make more sense? Like people change. I get that, it happens. Like I've seen one of my good friends go crazy over being like anti-vax, anti-mask, anti-everything, and like governments to control, like full-on conspiracy theory nutcase.
He compared I remember this because he compared forcing people to take a vaccine to rape.
Yes. And so yeah, that's someone that I don't really associate with currently because like that's some crazy shit.
Yeah.
So I could see, when you see someone's like that, you're like, okay, we just got to let this go. Right. And if he just took off with that shit and didn't tell him where he went, they wouldn't know. Shit. And then they say, well, yeah, what do you say? 5 years later, 10 years later, he called me up about someplace here.
Yeah, middle of nowhere, Oklahoma. Yeah,
through the United States for this mine, or I don't know.
You just think there would have been enough clues. Why didn't those guys go looking for him then to see like why he took all that? There's lots of questions there. Like I said, when I walked out of this, I had so many questions about it. Still loved it. The new characters were amazing. I love seeing Phoebe's lines. Trevor was a little bit underdeveloped. Even the adults in there were great, right? We kind of knew that we're going to get Zool and Vince Clortho, and so those characters worked out well. Some of the retconning and changing of the Gozer story, there was a little unsettling just because like you're going to go back there, but you're going to change it. Like, why can't we make some more specific dialogue around that?
I think my least favorite part actually is when Zool and Vince meet up after they possess.
The flower eating thing is really fucking
that
stupid.
was really weird.
The fact that they never
always using that voice.
Yes.
Eyes are always red. It just came off really cheesy. And I'm glad it didn't last longer than it did.
Well, the first interaction they have with Callie when she's possessed, I loved.
Yeah, that was great.
That wasn't too bad.
That one was one of my favorite parts.
Other than there is no mom, only Zool.
No, that's good. Because Zool would still talk in the weird sort of ways. And you can imply that just sort of always.
But it's still the line again.
Well, it's the line again, but it makes sense. Just like the "Are you a god?" line makes a sense because it's something that Gozer probably says every fucking time Gozer comes out.
You think Gozer remembers saying that to them? It looks like she's got a smirk on her face when she says it.
I think probably being a smartass.
Are you a god this time?
Where do you what percentage do you have on this movie? Like if 100% was,
I think you're gonna ask on the phone battery. So you're like looking at your phone.
No, I'm asking about your thoughts on the percentage. Where do you rank this in from 100, 0 to 100? Not
80%.
As a fan or
both?
Critically thinking as a fan, 80%. I love the movie.
It's technically well made.
I can suspend disbelief for so much of it. The cinematography is great. I love the puppetry. A lot of those callbacks looked amazing.
I liked a lot of the visuals, even like the Gozer battle itself.
Again, we talked about this, like the terror dogs looking a little brown instead of gray and striped, which is like, I don't know if I'm just not catching something in the first movie, but
it's just the lighting difference, basically.
I think they do have some brown to them.
But there's stripes.
But they're well known for being gray. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that puppeteer he was talking today on the podcast.
They discussed that.
They went. Yeah, that they talked about like it was brown, but in the movie in '84, you don't really see it. I thought they were more gray myself this whole time.
They're gray, and every art depiction they've ever done is gray. So it's just one of those weird things. It's fine. I'm not really that upset by it. I'm just saying, like, I notice it and it sticks out.
That's true.
But I understand that's in different lighting as well. But it's like one of those things about the suit color in the first movie. However it looks in the movie, I don't give a fuck how it looked in person. How it looks in the movie is what's important. Because if you think about it, well, they shot it this way. Well, they also shot fucking green screens and shit. But you're supposed to think Gozer's there. So, I mean, that I'm talking about now. There's obviously the set back then was completely different special effects styles. But
no, I'm in 80% basically with. I love the new characters in there, right? And like you said, I love this. It's probably on par with Ghostbusters 2 for me because there's a certain amount of rehashing going on that's just like, how do you do that and make it be fresh? I felt like there's a few things here that, they basically, the rumor on the street was that Sony accepted the first draft of this film. They didn't say, they said, Jason said he was surprised that Sony didn't ask him to go back and do a bunch of rewrites or anything. I felt like there's some of the dialogue and some of the jargon of the story, especially for Gozer's background, that Dan should have been consulted on to fix some of those things. Like doesn't live in hell. Like whatever it is, you can have the portal open back up because that's where the mine is. I get all that. That all makes sense.
And isn't those stories that Vince told in the first one?
Yeah, those are
on other planets.
Those are retcons.
Who's to say that mine shaft wasn't a portal though?
Yeah, but they say it's an inner Earth, so it retcons everything that they talk about.
She's
when
not
Vince,
from Earth at all.
When Vince is talking about how Gozer goes around and just takes over worlds.
Well, she's multi-dimensional, so it's not even about it being another planet necessarily. It's about being an interdimensional being, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and so in this, they say it lives in the middle of Earth, which is like, I don't know why we need that.
I don't either. Perhaps because Gil Keenan directed a movie that took place in Earth.
So you could show her crawling out of a hole.
Well, yeah, you could do that anyway, though. Like that could be another form of.
I was not wanting that. I wanted to see Gozer emerge from the gates again because they had that whole platform and everything come up, which didn't make any sense. Why that was even there?
Why didn't she? Yeah, the whole temple was there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a true point. Yeah, it would be a temple scene again. It
was back and forth between having no shoes on and having shoes on, and then having no shoes.
I pointed that out to Alec. Yeah,
which is fine. Spectral being the whole dress comes out of nowhere.
Oh my god! I hated that.
But.
So
they're like, look, now you know how it happened.
I repressed that.
You know where that dress came from, Nick.
I thought Dana had some
sexy
provocative
shit.
saddles
and Zool just picked out the best one. No, apparently it's a spectral dress, Nick. Well,
she's supposed to seduce the keymaster,
but she has no shoes on there.
Yeah, no shoes there. And then when she's walking up the steps before she becomes a dog, she's got high heels on, and then after she gets zapped out of that and falls down the stairs, no shoes for that.
No shoes the rest of the movie. Yeah.
Just like there's a bunch of continuity errors with.
So after she becomes a dog,
the lights, the Ecto 1 lights too. They keep like
the lights driving sirens are on and then off and then on again.
Yeah.
And it's little stuff like that you're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Again, I can let it slide.
What about the Ecto jumping?
But he had an extra year and a half in post production to figure this out. Like those little things that
they didn't do pick up on movie either, though. That's the other thing. I mean, they were on COVID lockdown, so they couldn't do any reshoots. So that's another thing is like, what would this have looked like had they actually been able to do a few reshoots to hash a few things out? Like you even heard that on the thing today that when Gozer was on set, when they're shooting that with Olivia Wilde, that she shows up and they hadn't done any makeup tests with her in the Gozer costume for, it was like they had to suit her up that morning and then shoot that afternoon. So that gives you a pretty big idea of.
I thought she looked okay as Gozer. I thought the outfit was just them trying to make it more realistic or something.
So the thing for me on Gozer, right, especially the look,
the outfit's my big problem, but
the outfit and her face. It's not that Olivia Wilde's face is bad, but she's just not as menacing as she was. So
can we all agree that they nailed the hair?
The hair was on point. Yeah, the hair.
I think her face works for it too.
I think her face almost does, but the eyes they colored wrong.
Why are the eyes black and not red?
Well, they talked about that today in the podcast. Was that he had him red?
Red?
No. Yeah, they had red contacts in, just like
they
before.
made them black in post.
Who made them?
special effects company. Yeah, Jason made that decision.
Why?
Don't know.
Because he makes bad decisions.
All,
I mean, at least a couple.
All that shit,
one or two at least.
All that shit you take from the first movie, and you're gonna cause continuity errors.
Well, my thing
I don't get
with
it.
that is
Right.
Gozer took me out of the moment because her face just looked like it was makeup. It just looked like she painted her face white, like she's fucking part of the ICP. Where in the first Ghostbusters, maybe it's just because it was so overly lit and washed out, I didn't get those vibes. It didn't feel like it.
So that really bugged me.
Kept taking me out of the scene.
So why you change that?
The makeup job was definitely better on Ghostbusters than Afterlife.
Do you think he didn't want her to have red eyes because the terror dogs had red eyes, or when they were possessed?
Well, then maybe he should have taken that up with Ivan Reitman in the fall of 1983. Like,
Dad, I didn't like that.
Dad, you can't do that. You got to do it this way.
What's your percentage?
Mine's gonna be whatever my battery is.
It depends. Critical,
63%.
75.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I can do that.
In terms of being my and just movies I like, yeah, it's probably in the top 90% because I'm gonna rewatch it a lot. I can tell you that. But if I'm looking at it critically, which I'm gonna do every time I watch it anyway, it's gonna be a 75 for me.
That's fair. I feel like I'm gonna do the same thing. Like the 3 times I've watched it, I've loved it every time, but I'm still just like kind of thinking when I'm done watching it and walk away.
It's hard being like, because Ghostbusters is one of those things that it's not a fan base like Star Wars where everyone knows all the things so well. So it's really only the people who are in this cult Ghostbusters community.
Yeah.
Ghost heads.
Yeah. Tom Gebhardt and Video Bald and Peter Mosen, people like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And us.
All right, Jerry, what percentage do you give it?
I mean, I need to see it a little bit more. I think I saw really 1.5, not 2, because that half with Nick. So it kind of took me out of that. So I didn't get to I missed some of that movie, or that part of the movie. But I would say,
oh yeah, Jerry was there for the incident.
Yeah, 80. I would say 85% from like a fan base, like, and then critically, like Alec, I don't know, around 75-80% or so. I mean, they overdid it with the member berries. That was the thing that kind of took me out a little bit of it, and then Ray with the cult thing. But I think it's on par with Ghostbusters 2, and I give Ghostbusters 2 a slight edge just because it has original guys in it from the whole movie.
I prefer it.
See, I'm really torn on that one right now, and it's just going to take more viewings before I really let that settle, because as of right now, I'm just like, there's things I really like in this. We get new character development. Like in Ghostbusters 2, we don't see anybody besides Peter and Dana advance as individuals.
If I'm giving these movies percentages, Ghostbusters has 100. Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same for you guys. If I'm looking at it critically or a fan.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters 2, critically, 76%, 77,
As
78.
a critic?
Yes.
What about as a fan?
Again, 90, 95%.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, probably a little bit more than Afterlife on both of those, I think, as of right now.
Yeah, same with me. That's where I feel. And that's part nostalgia playing into that. I know, right?
But it's also the comedy and the jokes.
What about
because Ghostbusters 2 is 100 times more quotable than Afterlife. Like there's some Afterlife quotes, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
Those are going to become part of our repertoire at some point. That's going
mostly
to happen.
mostly Janosch.
But yeah, Janosch, or we say all sorts of Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and all those quotes from this movie all the fucking time. And I mean, doesn't make it critically good or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I think I don't. It's more of a feel good for me.
I don't think I laughed at Afterlife until Callie jumps out the window, and I don't think that was supposed to be funny.
I laughed at Phoebe.
I laughed quite a bit.
I didn't audibly laugh.
I remember you two laughing next to me in the theater.
I laughed a lot the first viewing, but the second viewing, like the places where I was laughing with a diehard kind of a crowd, was different because when the general audience, people weren't kind of laughing there, and I already knew the joke, so I was like, okay, but this one's not made to be funny. This is made to be
I understand.
It's serious, and I think maybe that's the biggest problem with it.
I love that what Bill Murray said in that interview. He's like, I heard a lot of people say the movie made him cry, so it should be a very successful comedy.
Exactly. I mean, he's not fucking wrong.
And maybe that's the biggest problem, is that you have these characters that you want to take so serious, and the comedy piece just isn't quite there.
Well, that's the thing about 2016. It overdoes the comedy.
Yeah.
Or it tries to anyway, because, you know, the overdoing part is where it's not funny. But there's legitimately funny things in there to me.
All the characters are old.
But in this one, it's a little bit of like, okay, the only funny people are really Phoebe, Podcast, and Gruberson. Like Callie has some.
But it's like the first movie where they're not, it doesn't feel like they're trying to tell jokes. It's just kind of incidentally funny.
I mean, I disagree with that. Bill Murray definitely is telling jokes throughout that whole fucking movie.
Well, Bill Murray, but not every character. You know what I mean? Bill Murray's just a smart ass.
But you don't have anyone to carry you. And that's why the first one's so great, is because you get scares and laughs and you just don't know what you're getting next. Right. And this, like, you're missing some of the comedy spots that kind of counterbalance the fear.
Let me do what everybody says.
You see, Ghostbusters is lightning in a bottle, and it's hard to capture that lightning in a bottle. They, Ghostbusters too. They tried to do it and they couldn't do it, and they didn't do it here either.
I mean, it reinvigorates the franchise. We've got new fun characters that young people and old people alike are going to want to see where their story goes, right?
Yeah, people can't. I mean, listen to this review and then don't hate me afterwards, because we're just being fucking honest here. I supported this movie for the last 2 years of my fucking life. I've bought all of the possible fucking merchandise possible.
So long.
Well, there's an incredible amount of Ghostbusters Afterlife merchandise in and around.
Yeah,
here.
Don't take this review the wrong way, because I'm going to see this in theaters at least once or twice more while it's still out.
I'm going to see it more. I want to go see it at a drive.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a nice night. You know what I mean? This has drive-in vibes because of the 60s vibes.
Well, we're trying to be honest. Doesn't mean we don't love it.
Exactly.
No, you can honestly
objective.
You can love something and still see the flaws in it, right?
I love The Room by Tommy Wiseau. It's no Ghostbusters Afterlife, but
it was supposed to be a comedy.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a number of flaws in Ghostbusters, the original, that we know to this day, but that does obviously that's the benchmark, and it's such a great movie. It's 100%. So,
and the other issue we have is, like, an adult seeing this movie the first time is different than when I saw that as a kid, and like the things that I never stopped to analyze it. And even the first Ghostbusters,
I want to watch this as a kid.
When I don't
Please.
analyze it, right, it's a little different. So
right, no, yeah, 100%.
We could love this movie, Nick.
I want to be 6-year-old Nick watching this movie for the first time.
I mean,
what I wouldn't give.
Do you guys think that sequels will work?
Yeah.
I mean financially.
We'll see, baby.
Without the guys in it. Like the promise of the guys being in it. Do you think people will really continue to?
Well, I think Winston's going to still play a part, kind of the Tony Stark kind of thing.
Is what gets the ass in the seat, though. Let's not play.
For the general audience.
Yes, for the general audience.
All us fans love Ernie.
Yes.
To be
I
honest,
praise Ernie
the general audience,
movies in general. So
don't know his name, I think.
To be honest with you, one of the weakest links in this entire movie is Dan Aykroyd. Just when he shows up as the OG Ghostbuster,
the weakest link.
He seems more like Dan Aykroyd.
20-year-old references.
If that makes sense.
He's not good at the end of the movie. He's okay for what he is with the other guys there, but he's just kind of boring. Like, it feels like that speech feels like something he wrote. What he says, it's very Dan Aykroyd, and he didn't have the enthusiasm for it like you would expect, right? You don't see that joy in his eye.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't feel like he's doing his sales pitch for his vodka or Ghostbusters 3 now that it's Ghostbusters 3. He doesn't have that enthusiasm on screen. Now, the phone call scene's pretty cool because, like, you almost see him get really emotional with that. Yeah. And you see
that's
him
a good scene.
Oh.
It's just, it does feel a little rushed, but I get it because it's just a movie. You have to rush things, but you do just because it's Ray for the first time. You're just like, oh, stay here. Don't go. And then they go back to the jail cell and you're like, no, where's Ray?
That's the thing with Janine. When the Janine scene ended and she never showed up again, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt a little short too, as well. I mean, she would have figured, whatever.
We could at least took her out for a burger.
But I think we've all
been burger.
We've all been following everything enough that we know that Jason's
She's like, I'm gonna fuck a Spangler one way or the
other. I used to fuck your dad. She scissors with Callie. That's the after credit scene I would have put in there.
I used to write his face.
And then Winston walks in.
Oh, I thought they were gonna go that route Janine and Winston, because that was a rumor I heard.
Yeah, I legit thought she was about to drop on her knees. Slide off the chair and drop on her knees.
You don't get paid for this. This is just for me to.
Yeah.
Winston's the sex appeal.
If there's a steady paycheck in it,
I'll bane anyone you say.
Hey,
no, I just think that that's one of those things that there's a lot of potential for where you go with this, and it's just how you tell it, right? And you've got to have a reason why. You got to have a little bit of heart into making the story worthwhile, right? Because yeah, just catching ghosts would be fun and stuff, but you can make that a video.
Don't
game.
go chasing ghosts, kid.
Yeah, and
need a new villain.
Well, there's plenty of other villains, but
honestly, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that real quick. That'd be our last little bit here. Who do you, if you could pitch a villain, who would you pitch?
Like original?
Either original, or you could say, I want it to be Vigo if you're a fucking asshole.
Well, I'm not going to come up with a good original off the top of my head.
I would say it doesn't have to be original. I just said that. Real Ghostbusters exists.
But I want there to be an original villain.
I want there to be Sam Hain would be a good one. If you did it right.
Yeah.
Sam Hain, I think, would rather the best villain.
I'd rather them do a real Ghostbusters villain than Vigo for sure.
I'm saying like Boogeyman, obviously everybody loves, but I want to see a fucking ghost for once. Like Vigo's a ghost, but Gozer is also not a ghost.
She's
so
a demigod.
The Ghostbusters big battles in 2 out of 3 other movies, they're not even fighting a ghost. They should be called Godbusters.
8 gods for breakfast.
Exactly.
It took a minute to get the Scolari brothers in the trap. And that was a
I'm just, I know there's ghosts in the movies. I'm just saying, like, their big struggle has only been with a ghost once to save the world. They've saved the world, but it's been with fighting off gods.
I'm not sure ghosts are as powerful.
So that's why I'm saying you don't want to do Boogeyman in another movie right away or anything like that, or the Sandman necessarily. You want to do Sam Hain, which you could argue is a ghost, or you could make a ghost for sure.
And you don't have to always take it back to New York. If you do Sam Hain like to tradition, you could take it to wherever you want for that.
You could just do another one in Oklahoma if you want. But I mean, let's be honest. I don't want to see any more fucking fields.
We're not going to do that.
I've had my share of fields.
Fair share
of fields. I said share fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
I think you've got to find a way to make this interesting. And then like one of the key lines they set up obviously is Winston running the place, that he's got the love for the Ecto, right? But he also says my kids, right? So he's talking about being a father in there, right? So it's not just Spangler's grandkids that are there. It's like his kids and possibly Winston's grandkids. And
here's
stuff.
my thing. I've got enough people's kids already. I don't need any more kids now. I mean, if you're going to do kids, just be new, completely fucking random
Winston's
people.
kids would probably be adults.
I'm not saying they're going to be Ghostbusters. I'm just saying we might see them within him running the business, or them being just around in general, right? Not actually carrying the story, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you
sure,
just never
whatever.
know.
I'm fine with that, but just whatever.
You've got to make it a way to make the story carry and be poignant and actually have the point.
I don't know.
I'm ready to see more, but I just don't know what's next and what we'll see. I don't know. All the stuff we've seen though, Jason Reitman's confirmed that Ghostbusters 2 is canon for everyone that couldn't figure that out already. And then like there's this, he was on some podcast talk, they asked him about Vigo or whatever, and he basically just said, oh yeah, Vigo could be in another painting, whatever, not actually stating that. He basically said, we're not writing that off yet, because I'm not working on that. But yeah, it's kind of a fan fiction thing where he said, yeah, whatever you want, use your imagination, basically, is what I took out of that. Not we're gonna do Vigo now.
I feel like Vigo was defeated.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Nick. We have postcards available in the gift shop, or slides available. What does he say?
Slides available in the gift shop.
Even one of those slides. There's Vigo. There's Vigo. You got him.
Essence.
Essence is there because it was bought at the time that he was at the museum.
Yeah,
it was there. It was stored there at the time.
I think Gozer made sense in that. Like they sent her back to where she came from.
Do an animated movie and bring back Vigo in a cameo. Like he comes back in the beginning and they bust him in the first 10 minutes and they're like, fuck off.
Well, I want him to do it.
Fool some people and actually put Vigo in the beginning of the next movie, only in the first 10 minutes. And then you can put all that in the trailers. So people are like, oh man. And then, oh, I thought it was going to be Vigo.
So honestly, what do you think's better next? What do you think's best for the franchise next? Do you think another movie is, or a series? I honestly think you need a series to actually tell a good story.
I want a series
because there's so much shit you had to leave out of this movie.
I want a series, but I don't always get what I want. How I feel about
There's
that.
a rumor going around supposedly from a good source.
But that has nothing to do with that. Just says a Ghostbusters series, which is I'm going to bet anything it's going to be an animated series of some sort. But
I want a live action.
Well, I
want both.
We don't always get what we want.
Good series
because if you could imagine
what Disney makes, yes, who has the money? Sony doesn't make a bunch of TV shows.
Not just Disney.
Sony doesn't name some Sony TV shows, please.
I don't know about Sony, but there's good series that
Any
aren't on Disney though.
I'm just saying,
if you look at like the Child's Play movies, right? Then you see the Chucky series, right? When you have time, you can make something much more enjoyable because you can just spread it out. Like imagine Afterlife as an 8 or 10 part series. Yeah. You could have fleshed out all these things here and made it so much more enjoyable.
I agree. Sounds awesome. Just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't know. I think they're going to try.
I think we might see a mini series or another movie sequel, but I just don't know where they're going to go.
Yeah, it is. But Sony doesn't like to not do the thing that Sony does. Sony's very known for being like kind of annoying about some things.
Yeah, but you could do a series and then have a movie and a series and a movie like they've done with other things.
Again,
yeah,
Sony hasn't done that.
Yeah,
Sony doesn't like series. They like animated series. There's lots of Spider-Man cartoons. There's lots of animated movies even from that kind of stuff.
Yeah, almost all their other Resident Evil stuff has been animated, right? Besides the original film series and then this reboot. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good point.
So like I said, I would like a series. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Hold your breath.
Live action anyway.
Either way, I'm ready for more. I'd love to see where these characters go, but
yeah, I love the takeaway is that the characters, the new characters are the best part of the new movie.
I don't see them doing a TV show.
You never know.
Paul Rudd, well, he has done a TV show recently.
He's done plenty of series. He just has a new one that came out on Apple TV. He did the Living with Myself. He's not afraid of doing a series. So never discount someone for that.
Hopefully they will.
I think he did that one Netflix series too that was about a clone of himself. Yeah, I didn't
Living with Myself. That was amazing. I love that series.
That. They didn't do season 2 or anything, right?
No, they didn't need to. That story was concise, right? So
I never need to.
No, I mean sometimes though you have additional.
I couldn't remember how it ended for sure. So.
I know I'm just ready to see more. I'm excited to see this in theaters again. So yeah, don't take a review to heart and be like, these guys didn't like it. I love the movie, but I'm just realistic about what I saw.
I think seeing these characters more will enhance Afterlife.
Yeah.
Yep. Any final thoughts, Jerry?
No, I mean I agree. I'm gonna love this movie to death. I can't wait to like really own it and frame, pause it and get into the nitty gritties that I couldn't see in the theater. But yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna dissect it too much just because it takes away from the funness for me for watching a third movie in 32 years. So I'm happy. I'm a happy camper.
I get one every 2 years now, Jerry.
This is like the ending of a Jerry Springer episode because you said, "And now to Jerry for the final thought."
Don't forget the book is coming out. Is it December 10th or 11th when the book drops?
The art,
the Afterlife,
picking up
behind the scenes.
Yeah. So expect that. I'm
on my wish list for Christmas. If I get it, that means I got to hold off until at least Christmas before I can see that. I don't even know when they would ship it. I guess isn't the pre-orders go in here soon?
Oh, they've already got pre-orders up, so it's just ready to ship.
Well, I mean, like when did they start shipping? I guess is my question.
They'll usually ship it early enough so you'll get it on the release date. Amazon does if you go through them. Not sure if you do another vendor, but usually they're pretty good about shipping it 2 or 3 days in advance so it can get to you before the release date. So you
might be able to get it at the local bookstore.
Well, there's not one anywhere near us. So if we go over by your neck of the woods, we could hit the Barnes and Noble, but they removed the one.
They had a lot of Ghostbusters.
I guess there's one down on the plaza.
This is not good podcast.
What?
Talking about where you're locally going to buy what. Stop bending my fucking box, you fuck. I'll murder you.
You're not going to open it?
I am going to open it, but then I'm going to close it back again. And now it's all bent up from your fat fingers fingering it like it's a fucking vagina.
All right. Well, go finger Nick's vagina and we'll see you guys soon.
All right. See you later.
Take care.
Later.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Frog Brothers podcast. We'd greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. And if you're listening on the audio feed on Spotify or Apple or Twitch or wherever you listen, Tell your friends and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/thefrogbros. Hit us up on Instagram at Frog Bros Podcast, on Twitter at bros_frog, on TikTok at Frog Bros Podcast, and follow us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group Frog Bros Video by searching just that, Frog Bros Video. Hit request to join and you'll be approved. We have shirts available. The link is in our Instagram bio and below in the description. And you can find stickers on Etsy at Frog Bros, all one word. Additionally, if you'd like to give us a call and leave a voicemail soon, our Patreon will be live and we'll be posting monthly responses and reactions to the voicemails. Dial 816-832-5388.